Welcome back to the Top 6 show. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. And boys, I'm happy. I'm happy, boys. One, I'm just back from the Arsenal. Oh, shit. Let the cat out the bag there. Just got back in. I was out on Bank Holiday Monday doing some stuff. And the Premier League have released a graphic. Have you all seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Have you not seen? Oh, listen. Let me get this for you, because I know. Well, Tottenham fans, it actually reads the same, but it don't. Man United ain't much different. But I want to show you this because this makes me happy. This makes me very, very happy. I didn't actually get the graphic ready, so I'm gonna have to put it up onto the screen, right? Because I'm ill prepared because I was at the parade. But I'm gonna put it up on the screen. People are going to actually think I was at the parade now. I've said that. But we've got loads to talk about today before I put the graphic up. We're talking transfers, big reveal in relation to Rodrygo to Arsenal, big hijack from Chelsea. According to TalkSport, they have now taken over from Manchester United in the race for Liam Delap. We'll go into that story. It's not my claim. It's TalkSport. We'll speak on it. Brian Mbeumo to Manchester United is on, plus Premier League review on our teams. So we're not going to review every facet because we could be here for a month just on Man United and you'll get bored and I'll lose the will to live. But we're looking at the biggest issue we had this season and what we want our club to fix the most in the summer to make us ready for the 25-26 campaign. So hit the like button for us, please. Make sure you are subscribing. Get the bell notification buttons turned on as well if you haven't done that. But this made me happy. This graphic here. We're all on, Spurs staying 17th, but we're all back on 0 points now. It's out. So, the banter's over, KJ, because right now we're level on points with everybody. Banter's over.
Yeah. Woohoo. You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
You know what I like,
we're 14th now instead of 15th.
Exactly.
I like that they don't do the AF Bournemouth anymore, because I thought we're going to be second again. Second again. Now we're first.
There's something else I noticed marketing-wise. I've noticed that Newcastle, even themselves, seem to drop United a lot now. They just want it as Newcastle. Bournemouth are just, as you say, Bournemouth. They're like a lot of teams have kind of shortened things, maybe for branding.
Spurs is Spurs.
Yeah, I find that one weird, Tottenham being like Spurs. Like, that's like a nickname, right? It's like us being Gunners on the league table, right?
Yeah, but they prefer to be called Spurs, apparently. That's actually a thing. Is that true, Henry? Like, your club prefer to be called Spurs and Tottenham?
Yeah, a lot of them. Like, they don't. We don't really say come on Tottenham, do we? We say come on you Spurs.
Yeah.
Like, the club's obviously called Tottenham Hotspur, but I've always referred to them as Spurs since I was very young, and I think a lot of Spurs fans are like that.
Fair enough.
Well, now we're referred to as European champions, but yeah.
Okay, can we stop this? Can we change it?
Let
to
me have my moment, right?
No. You can have it. All I'm saying is change it to at least champions of Europe or of Europa or Europa champions.
Yeah.
You're not European champions, bro.
But like,
boys. You know what I'm saying?
You're just not.
So wait. If Chelsea win the Conference
still
League,
sing Champions of Europe, we know what we are if they win on Wednesday night.
No, that's true. But wait. So if Chelsea win the Conference League, they're champions of Europe.
They can also sing it. Yeah.
Leeds are the champions of England. No?
Yeah.
Champions of the championship.
Yeah, no, it's funny. But listen, you guys deserved it. We've obviously had these conversations. You've been gallivanting around Europe, doing whatever it is you do. You deserve it. You won it. Fair play. But have you kind of changed your mind at all? Because it was only a few months ago that we were all here on the terrace, all enjoying social media, and we were kind of watching this.
Tell you what this fucking deserves. See this chair? Bit of Seamus. That is what it deserves. Because this football club is a disgrace.
A bit of Seamus.
By the way, though, you've lost a little bit of weight, though. You're doing all right for the wedding. Yeah, lost a little bit of weight, I see.
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of the beard, Billy. But yeah, in terms of Spurs, Ange has given us the best moment of majority of our lives. It was an unbelievable night, to beat Man United I know what everyone says, they're banished. Still Man United, still one of the biggest clubs in the world. To beat them in a final in Spain, Obviously, I was there for the semi-final as well in Norway. Unbelievable journey. We finally got to show our armpits and lift some silverware. And because we've obviously won the Europa League, a lot of fans that were Ange out are now Ange in. I said this to Kate in the Terrace group chat. I don't think you can have another season with 20 plus defeats. And the rumours are the club are speaking to Thomas Frank. Now, I think Thomas Frank is a better manager than Ange Postecoglou. And if he's available, we should go and get him. Marcus Silva's just come out and said he's staying at Fulham. And Iriola, they want 20 odd million pounds to get him out of Bournemouth. So I know everyone's saying we can go and get Inzaghi and all that. That's not happening. So if it is Thomas Frank, bring him in. As great as the moment has been with Ange Postecoglou, we saw our performance against Brighton. And I know people say, oh, yeah, players are hungover and all that. If that's the case, then our players have been hungover for 22 games. Because we've got 22 games this season, which is crazy. If Thomas Frank's available, I'd bring him in. You know, the club have got money to spend this summer now. All the extra bonuses that the sponsors are now paying out because we're in the Champions League now, the extra revenue from the Premier League, the extra revenue for qualifying for the Champions League. There's no reason why the club can't go and spend 170 million plus sales this summer. You know, so I look at Ange Postecoglou. If there's a manager available, aka Thomas Frank, then yeah, I'd sack him and bring in Frank.
Do you know what's crazy about Spurs, like the Spurs fans? I understand right now Spurs fans are gassed. They deserve to be. It's been so long they haven't seen it. My mates, especially, they're over the moon. Half of them ain't got a voice anymore. But this flip on Ange does not make sense because do you know what it is? I understand how good it is winning that trophy for you guys, but it's like a lot of fans are just saying, well, the league don't matter anymore. What happened in the league? Like I'm literally watching Spurs fans have a massive crack in their wall and they've gone and bought some Ange wallpaper and they're just putting it up over the crack and there's nothing behind there.
Yeah, the problem...
Sorry, go on, KJ. Go on.
Yeah, but the problem is that Spurs are now in the Man United realm of last season where in the league we were poor, the football, you can see the massive holes and the gaps in the midfield and the issues that we had on the pitch. But then the manager was able in a cup competition to tactically find a way to win and has won a trophy. And you're in that spot where it's like, well, if this guy continues to tactically change and we give him more money, could he then be the guy to take us back to where we want to be? Can he be the guy that we thought it would be? Or is it going to be another thing where, like Ten Hag, he reset his settings, went back to what he was doing before, and boom, they end up losing his job. And it's you're on a knife edge, Spurs. You're on a knife edge because keep Postecoglou. If he doesn't change his ways in the league, you've just wasted your time.
Here's the problem Spurs have, in my opinion, right? First of all, if a season ever goes from one match being able to make it an amazing season or like one of the worst seasons in your club's history, you have to look into that, right? You should look at Man United with the Ten Hag thing. They should have never kept him after the FA Cup. It was they say the fans or whatever. He won the cup, everyone got a bit gassed, and then he stayed, and it was the wrong decision. The problem Tottenham have now, for me, is next season they're in Champions League. You're not winning Champions League. Let's be real. With Ange Postecoglou, you're not winning Champions League. Yeah. So what could happen is you'll go from this to Ange finishing mid-table, and then you have no Europe the following year. You've done rubbish in the league, and you've got knocked out early in the Champions League.
If they're a serious club, they get rid of him.
Yeah, exactly. And it shouldn't leave the fans.
You've got to read this.
You need to give that new manager time to build.
You've got to read this comment as well. That you've got to read this comment from Cal, one of our long-standing Tottenham viewers and members. That yet again we are sitting here with a straight face and pretending it's strictly the manager issue at the club. That's why those pricks at the top have gotten away with systemically destroying the club. And there is a lot of truth. There is a lot of truth in that. At the same time, Cal, and I'm not angling this at you, there are a percentage of Spurs fans, but I think they're in the minority that actually have a desire to get to where in the history of English football in the last 30 or 40 years, where we have seen Man United, where we've seen Chelsea, City, Liverpool, Arsenal. There are another percentage, a huge percentage, that don't think like that. And it isn't about the board getting away with it. A lot of Spurs fans, and I put my dad and one of my business partners are Spurs fans. They love the club. They'd love to win the league. But they were of the mindset of, do you know what? It's been a shit season, but that game against United, it's the best season I've experienced in 40 years. Or it's the best I've ever experienced in my life. and we are simply happy. And the issue that you have, if you've got, I say, 80% of a fan base that thinks and feels that way, it's very hard to change the direction of your football club. It really, really is. And that's not a dig. I've seen a lot of Spurs fans that come on this channel that over the last 5 years have tried to tell us, and they're entitled to have this opinion. You know, we are part of the top six. We are part of the big six. We're one of you. What I saw when Spurs won that trophy, and this isn't bitterness because you deserve to win it, and I don't begrudge it in any way. The way that was celebrated, there isn't a single other member, maybe Arsenal, because they've never won or they haven't won a big European trophy in a long time. But I think that there is no way a Man United, no way a Chelsea, City, or Liverpool celebrate the way Tottenham did. There's no way our clubs paper. If Man United had won that, there wasn't going to be a parade. There would be very few United fans saying the season was to quote Big Ange, didn't he say like an outstanding or a massive success? For me, there is I don't even want to use.
I think it doesn't matter what the trophy was, Terry. Like if we won an FA Cup, you'd have still seen a parade like that.
Yeah.
I don't think. I understand that, but that's why it's hard to get enough of your fan base to push to have your owners change the way you operate. Because if next season Thomas Frank comes in, you finish 13th and win the Carabao Cup, 80% plus of your fan base is happy. And you have to view a fan base like the demographic of a country. If 80% of a country are happy with the government, you're never changing it. You're never changing it. You can't change it. And I look at football clubs in that way. If you have got a massive percentage that by and large are happy, you saw what happened when you play good football for 10 games. Your fans sung, "We have our Tottenham back." Now, they could argue we were right. We ended up winning a trophy, and that's okay. But the way you've operated in the last 2 years, you may pick up trophies every now and then. Will you ever become a team that wins the Premier League playing this way, operating this way? The answer is no. That isn't a dig. I know this through experience in the last 12 years. Yeah,
that's part of the problem. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people can slate Levy for not sacking Ange, but after all, he stuck by him and just delivered him a trophy. Now, I think personally, a lot of these players and the manager stopped caring about the league mid-December. When we started sliding down, right? I think it's the wrong approach. I think if we would have actually changed our tactical approach like we did in the Europa League, we would have finished a lot higher up in this Premier League table. But the issue we've got now is like everyone's basically said, if we stick with Ange going into next season, and let's say he gets sacked in October and November or September, what manager's going to come in 3-4 months into the season? It will kind of be like Ruben Amorim, situation where
part of our season review is, and we've kind of gone into Tottenham organically. So I'll ask you this question, Henry. We know how you feel this season's gone. We've spoke about a lot of it in the last 10 to 12 minutes. What's the biggest, and we're asking this about all the clubs that feature on the panel tonight. We're not going to do it about City or Liverpool because their fans are not here, so we're not going to talk about it. But because I want their fans to answer. But what's the if you had a magic wand and you could guarantee one change, one improvement, one purchase, one thing this summer that you think puts you in a better position to succeed next year, what would that one thing be for you?
This summer? Well, straight away bring a new manager in, and a manager that can adapt. I think the one thing I'd like to see bring in this summer would be to sign a top quality director of football. And I'm not talking about Johan Langer. Like, for instance, we had Michael Edwards, who helped bring in Son, Alderweireld, Dembele, all those players. We spend an awful lot of money. If we brought in a director of football who knows how to spend it and got a better manager in, we'd be a lot higher up the league. You know, Thomas Frank has proven he's a tactical manager who, bearing in mind this guy lost Ivan Toney, has got Brian Mbeumo now wanted by all top clubs. Johan Wiesa, or Wiesa, how you pronounce his name, wanted by top clubs. You bring him in with a good director of football, plus the Champions League revenue, all these extra revenue from sponsors, we can be in and around that top four. And that's exactly what the club want. That to get the Champions League revenue ticks Levy's box every single time. And just going very quickly, going back to Ange, it's a very difficult decision now Daniel Levy's got, because he's got the monkey off our back because we've won a trophy, and he's also got a Champions League revenue. So he's ticked two of those boxes that Levy's wanted for such a long time. But it's kind of your head and over your heart. Your head, everyone says Ange Postecoglou is not the manager for Spurs. But in every Spurs fan's heart, they're just thinking, hang on, he's just won us a Europa League. He's just given us the best night in our club's history in over 40 years.
You got to be careful with that, though. I say, you got to be careful with that. This happens in both directions, by the way, and I need to be careful. I might get cancelled. You can sometimes meet a person of the opposite sex who gives you one of the best nights of your life, but you definitely shouldn't be in a relationship with them. You know what I'm saying? There's some people that can, you know what I mean? They can give you that. You're like, oh, wow, that's magic. That's some sorcery. But they're not great for your life. And maybe you'll be very mindful of letting an amazing night, a few tequilas, a little bit of a hangover, a little bit of morning, you know, how's your father? You sometimes can't allow that to dictate the rest of your life. I'm trying to put it as delicately as I can, because there's some interesting people out there that are great at that, but are they good for the long term? you gotta be careful. And by the way, I said opposite sex because it works in absolutely both directions, or in some cases nowadays, same sexes. Whatever tickles your pickle, you're welcome here on the terrace. But be very, very mindful of those relationships.
Do any of you think Ange will still be here next season?
Yes. I think he might be.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he will.
Oh,
I think he doesn't. I don't think he comes out with that season 3 comment if he don't know that he's staying at the club. And the thing is, he's done all the right things to have you lot round his finger. A lot of you fans.
Yeah,
the whole
did have a lot of digs at Levy though.
Here's the thing. The whole cop out, that was a huge cop out in my opinion. Of, oh, listen, mate, we didn't want the league in January. We already knew this was a chance of winning the Europa League, and we didn't care anymore. That's just a cop out for you being crap, because you were crap all season. There ain't no difference. You don't see you see like Arsenal, right? I'm going to use us as an example. We weren't playing amazing, but you could see the difference in Arsenal from when we were going in the later stages of Champions League and we stopped caring about the league because Liverpool had won it. You see the change in Arsenal, right? You saw that, although we haven't been amazing, you saw that the levels weren't the same as they were prior to that, while we still had a chance. You did not change. You were bad from pretty much the whole season and inconsistent for the whole season. You'd like win a game and then you'd lose 2. I thought that was a huge cop out by Ange, right? So that's why I think he should not say that stuff. But for you guys, it's the happiness.
He should not say that.
I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to go too harsh, because listen, the problem is, right, because I'm like, it's so hard for Arsenal fans right now to even talk about it, because there's truths to it, but then everyone just goes, you're salty. So you can't even really have a conversation about Spurs right now if you're Arsenal.
Did it hurt?
I can understand.
I know people say, oh, it's only the Mickey Mouse European Cup. Did it hurt to see a completely shite Tottenham team do that?
Here's the thing, right? It did hurt, of course, our life. If I say it didn't, but to be honest, it did not hurt as much as I thought it would. Like, I'll be honest, I thought it would hurt so much more. And I think when I was watching the game and thinking about it, when you won it, I was like, I just looked at the game and do you know what it was? And I'll be honest, it's because I look at you winning that and I realized, like, for me, you're so far behind us, bro. Like,
do you know the funniest thing I felt about it? I saw Arsenal fans a lot of Arsenal fans tweeting, a lot of Arsenal fans on TikTok and other socials that I follow, that for 2 years have tried to gaslight people into saying Spurs aren't their rivals, because yet they went mental when Spurs won the trophy. And I'm sitting there going, well, you just exposed yourself as a liar, my little lovely. But at the same time, I was more worried. Listen, I was gutted afterwards because Man United didn't win. The one thing in the build-up, you know, in life, they often say you worry about, and you'll probably know how to say this better, David, because you're the only one on here that's really educated, but you could often in life spend a lot of your time, because David's good at this sort of stuff. You can often spend, you'll probably know the philosopher that said this, but you know the accurate way of saying it, unlike me. I'm a povo, I'm stupid, right? You often spend most of your time thinking about things that don't actually end up happening, right? You end up stressing over things that don't end up happening, or they never feel as bad. I was so like, oh, we can't be the team that lets Spurs win their first trophy. And my dad said this to me. Me and my dad had a good chat before the game. And my dad's a Spurs fan. He went, why are you worried about that, son? I said, I think social media have got in my head. He went, absolutely. He said, if that does happen, he goes, yeah, it's a bit embarrassing. He went, but it's not the most embarrassing thing a big club's done this year. So what do you mean? He went, Liverpool let a team ever won in 70 years win a trophy. And City let a team have never won a trophy beat them. And I was like, fucking hell, everyone's forgotten about that. And it's all been about Spurs after 17 years. And then I'm sitting there and I went, straight away, I felt a little bit better about that element. Gutted we lost. Didn't make me feel any better. But what didn't hurt me as much was losing to Tottenham. You deserved it at the end of the day. We both had poor seasons, but you deserved to be there. That bit didn't hurt as much. I've not watched any of your parades or anything like that because that makes me hurt because that could be us holding that trophy. But Spurs, listen, fair play to you. But the question I have on the back of that, and I'll ask all the panelists before we move on to another team, who had the better season, David, Spurs or Arsenal?
Stupid question. It's Arsenal. It's such a stupid. Honestly, it's the dumbest. I don't know why people are actually entertaining it, but I will answer just for the sake of it. You cannot finish with 20. How many losses did you have?
22.
22. We didn't even get 40 points.
You can't finish
38 points, bro.
You can't finish with 22 losses, 38 points, and then be like, "Oh, we had a better season than the team that finished second." The only way that you could get away with it is if you won the Champions League, and they didn't. They won the Europa League. That is the only excuse.
The only thing I'll say on it, and the only thing I will say on it, and I'm not coming up to get to it behind Ange or anything, is in 25 years' time when these players are retired, right? You will remember winning the Europa League. You won't remember having.
I don't agree.
I hear this argument all the time. And
Depends on what we go and win.
Yeah, no, but even that, no, let's forget that because you'll talk about the singular year. When you look at this back at the singular year, you'll see Spurs winning a trophy and Arsenal not. For people's personal careers, yes, you can say that as in, all right, cool. In 2025, this player did this and this team did that, and I didn't do nothing. Cool. But in the overall scheme of football, no one's gonna sit there and be like, you know what, yeah, Arsenal are smaller than Spurs because in 2025
I'm just saying from a player's perspective, not obviously a fan's perspective.
Yeah. But that's the thing. People are using that player's perspective as a thing for the fans.
Do you know what I love about the debate is suddenly to shit on Arsenal, which is fair. People are allowed to do what they want. I've seen Liverpool fans everywhere do this. Trophies matter most. Trophies matter most. You don't say that when people bring up trophies. Why Scholes is the best midfielder? You can't use trophies. Trophies don't matter. It's some 1 minute trophies. I think Paul Merson said, he goes, yeah, look, trophies are all that matter to players because when you're retired and you've got your grandkids on your knee, it's all you speak to them about. I'm like, great. So let's use trophy in the player debate then. People pick and choose when trophies are meant to be important. What do you think? Henry, do you think you've had a better season than Arsenal? Hand on heart, do you think it's better? The delay means yes. Just say what you think, bro. Come on.
I think in 10 years' time, Arsenal fans are not going to remember finishing runners up to Liverpool, but Spurs fans will remember Brandon Johnson scoring a winner against Man United. Now, I'm not going to discredit anything Arsenal have done. They got to a Champions League semi-final. They got to a League Cup semi-final. And you could say on another day, maybe without the injuries, they would have gone on to win the league. But we were the ones at the end of the season lifting a trophy. Now, if it was an FA Cup or a League Cup, I wouldn't be saying that. But because it's a trophy that's got us into the Champions League, and the fact that we beat you boys in the final. Can
I slightly change the question? Because I asked this to Arsenal fans the other day when they said that Palace had a better season. So I want to ask you this. You get to keep your stadium and you get to keep your kit and your name. So those bits you keep. Would you swap the Europa League to finish second where Arsenal did until got to the semi-finals of the Champions League? But you have Arsenal's budget, you have Arsenal's wage packet, you have Arsenal's players, and you have Arsenal's transfer prospects this summer going into next season. Would you stick with what you have, or would you swap for what Arsenal have got?
I'd swap in a fucking heartbeat. They've got a miles better team than us. They've got better scouts than us. I'm not a complete idiot. Like if Arsenal go and get a striker and a left winger, they're right up there again next season. Where we need probably, like we've got the Romero situation. He's got his backside out for Simeone. We've got half our squad questionable if they're actually good enough, but if Arsenal get it right, they're going to win a Premier League, and the Premier League by an absolute country mile outweighs a Europa League.
I'm only asking, just asking.
If they get it wrong, and hypothetically we brought in a director of football,
that makes sense.
Arsenal aren't a gazillion miles away. They're a lot better than us on every metric, but they're not like we can't catch up with them.
Okay, that's fair. Go to some comments that are coming in here on this. Did you answer it, Giuseppe? Did you answer whether it's better or worse?
No, not yet.
So
But
go on. Give me your answer because I'm sure it's gonna be pretty quick.
well, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. But what I will say, and to phrase stuff differently for Spurs fans, so they don't get in their aisles, Spurs have had the better moment this season. We've had the better season. It's as simple as that. They've had the moment, yeah, cool. But at the end of the day, I would never in my life trade positions with Spurs this season. There's no way I would want to finish 17th and win the Europa League. Henry even said about it's not like it's an FA Cup. I feel like you could be a bit more proud if it was an FA Cup, like when comparing it to Arsenal, in the sense of you would have won a competition that we could have possibly won. Whereas you've won a competition where we're not in it because we're better than that competition right now. Not to say that we haven't won in Europe, so I'm not saying that side of things, but in the sense of our team capabilities right now are Champions League level to compete for that rather than Europa League.
Do you all think that's a little bit of a flaw when it comes to football comparison? And now in the sort of 70s, 80s, 90s, all three European competitions were full of powerhouses because only the champions went into that league. Cup winners and UEFA Cup was split. So it would almost be like breaking up all the big boys that are now in the Champions League and you would spread them across 3 trophies. So that era, yes. But do you not feel from like the late 90s, early noughties until now, you'll look at it and, for instance, people say Arsenal, in the noughties, Liverpool were picking up UEFA Cups and stuff. But Arsenal were too good to pick up a UEFA Cup in that era because they were finishing high enough in the league where they went into the Champions League. Had second place in England been getting those UEFA Cup positions, maybe teams like Arsenal, maybe teams that were coming second like Newcastle, maybe they would have won some European trophies in that period. But instead, they were all going into the Champions League, which was a much harder competition to win. So do we feel that it's maybe a little bit? Some people said to me, Fergie only won like 2 trophies at this time, like 3 European trophies at the time at United. And a lot of that was, though, yeah. And some other managers won a couple as well, but they were the much lesser ones because they weren't even in the Champions League. Is it a little bit of a false equivalence to compare those things in the modern era?
Yeah, because 100%, because it's like saying, why did Arsenal only win two Premier Leagues in that time when, mate, this team went up and down Championship to Premier League and they won 7 championships. Wow, they've got 7 trophies compared to Arsenal's too. I know, obviously, with us, it's because we ain't won the Champions League, but it's definitely the comparison needs to be made of the level of the trophy. People never want to use that.
I've seen a few people do it where someone did a list of all the clubs in Europe that have won the most European trophies, and Sevilla are quite high with totality. And I'm like, but they're all that's because they're barely in the Champions League and they're very good in the Europa League. Had, for instance, Chelsea. Imagine Chelsea at their pomp. Chelsea from, say, 2005 until, say, 2015. Imagine that you were in the UEFA Cup every year. You might have won 4 or 5 European trophies in that time, if not more. But maybe I don't know. I think sometimes it's a little bit of a false equivalence. This here says, I'm happy United didn't win because they have more chance of getting better with the UCL win and money than Spurs. Spurs won't go far. That's from an Arsenal fan, that is, not a Man United fan.
And do you know what? That is facts, because that's one of the reasons that it didn't hurt me as much as I thought it would. Because when I sit back and I actually analysed it, and I was like, why am I so annoyed at Spurs winning that Europa League? And it was purely banter focused, because I live near North London, got a lot of Spurs fans. It was all banter focused. The real thing was Man United shouldn't have won that final. If we're being for Arsenal Football Club, it would have been worse Man United winning that final.
I disagree a little bit, because I think if we get a better manager, I don't think this team is fucking 17th.
You're not Manchester United.
No, but Henry,
like a lot of these players are
the big boys always come back again. Look at Liverpool, 30 years no league title.
You with Champions League football, United can still sign players above you.
Yeah, of course. They're a much bigger club, bigger club. But I'm saying, like, respective of where we are, with the best, if we go and get Thomas Frank, we are challenging for top 4 next season. With Thomas Frank.
From like Giuseppe's point of view, he's trying to sign Gyökeres. If United get Champions League football, there's an even bigger chance they don't end up with that player.
We're going to move on to Man United in a minute, but we've secured Cunha, who people might change their minds on him now. He's been one of the best attacking midfield players in the league this year. We're well in for Brian Mbeumo, that people expect to go elsewhere. We are still going to sign top players with no European football, and that's a fact. This year is the difference between Spurs and Ange. Other clubs he's turned around. Is he competition in the Prem can spend more than Spurs. This is also a very good point. I'm not a fan of sacking managers who have just brought you history. Big Ange next season, if he is bad in the league, then give him next year in the league, and if he doesn't do any good,
if
then sack
it's
him.
repeat of this year's, they're getting relegated, so
We
you don't
can't
even want to
afford to give him next year in the league. Like these, I think if you get to the quarterfinal of the Champions League, in terms of revenue that the club get, plus on a match day, it's something like £40 million. Like we spend so much money on shit, it's unreal.
Henry, would you keep Ange? Yeah, if the guarantee for next season was he finishes 14th, but you win the Carabao Cup.
I mean, it's another trophy, but another.
Because this is the thing. Because a lot of Spurs fans I know, it seems like they're kind of happy to maybe be a cup team. That they don't really do much in league. But
no, I'd rather get Thomas Frank and move on.
This here from Ali says, Terry, the Liverpool parade was mad.
Still not gonna lie.
This is all I've got to say. Yeah, great. Have a good party, guys. Well done. I don't need to know about it, bruv. Do you know what I mean? This Arsenal fan chatting, he knows Spurs, his big London rival will win more than Arsenal in 5 years. It's hurting him, or he wouldn't talk about it.
Did get asked the question about it.
To be fair, yeah, I was saying he didn't bring it up. Like Terry asked him his opinion, so it's kind of unfair.
I'll be honest as well. Like we'll see. We're talking 5 years, Ray.
If you're a Leicester fan, would you swap your Premier League trophy with Arsenal's players, budget, etc., even though you know you're not going to sustain it?
I guarantee. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Go on. You answer it, mate. Go on.
No. I guarantee you, Leicester fans would trade that Premier League winning season to stay in the league every single year and have a better chance of winning the league, like again, or not again, or like for the first time. Like
they won the Premier League, so it's a much harder trade-off. So I get where you're coming from. It's a much harder trade-off because they actually won that Premier League. But since they won that Premier League, they've been relegated twice. As an example, they won an FA Cup in there as well. But this is the thing: you're not asking Spurs to trade a Premier League. It makes it a much harder choice. But I think if you're as consistent in the league as Arsenal and as Liverpool and if City have been in the last 3, 4, 5 years, I would swap every bit of success of the last decade Man United have had to be as good as those teams have been in the Premier League for the past 3, 4, 5 years. Because those teams, Arsenal have only won one FA Cup in that time. But when you look at teams that are typically challenging for the Prem on a regular basis over the history of this league, they've also often won trophies. I would gamble what we've won in terms of our trophy, our cups that we've won. We haven't won in the league. I would gamble that for a shot of knowing I have the ability every season to win a Premier League. And you're likely to pick trophies up along the way because City have, Liverpool have, Arsenal have got one. I would swap it for being that good in the league because typically the team it's a bit like the Gyökeres argument. Oh, do you think you'll score that many goals in the Prem? Listen, the man's got 97 goals in 103 games. If scoring in Portugal was that easy, you'd have multiple strikers scoring 20, 30 goals a season, and you're not. I think he'll score a lot of goals over here. So that's a harder one because it is a Premier League trophy.
Just a question for the chat. What's what? Does the pain, does winning the Premier League negate the pain of being in the Championship, getting relegated, and never being good enough again? Because I want to know. Because in 10 years' time, if Leicester are nowhere near the title,
do you know who could answer? Do you know who could probably answer that better than Leicester fans? Blackburn Rovers supporters. If you could turn around now to Blackburn fans and say, right, you have to give up every living memory of winning that trophy. But what you would, if you're saying to them every year since then, though, you were challenging for the league, they'd probably take it. Because again, the likelihood is if every year you're first, second, or third for the next 10, 20 years, the odds are you're going to win a league title if you're always that good. Yep. But Blackburn Rovers are probably the ones to ask because they've been out the Premier League, for 10, 15 years or something. They haven't challenged for anything or won anything in a long time. They might bite your hand off at that because they're just in football obscurity now. They're in purgatory. So listen, it's a really interesting question. It's coming, it's never coming second again. Well, listen, no, there's a joke in there. I'm not going to say it. I'm comfortable because I don't care. We get a left winger and striker. If we are quality, we will bang with how much we create. Sesko, Gyökeres don't care. Big up yourself, Gunnar Carlos. Thank you, Josh. You didn't say anything, but thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate that. If Spurs' season will go down in history because they are the only team with 22 losses to not go down. So during every relegation battle, you will hear this fact. There's a bit of truth in that. There's a solid point in there. You know, when they talk about points totals, no team with this amount of points has ever stayed up. They'll go other than Tottenham. That is true. That might come up every year when the commentators are talking about it. It's a good. Again, only an Arsenal fan, O'Malley, would think of that though. That's a good spot. I would never have done that.
We're not rivals though. Remember that we're not rivals.
Yeah, anyone who says that's just lying. For me, Arsenal has to go and win trophies now because they are becoming a nearly man. Not even Spurs are winning. Now even Spurs are winning trophies. It would bother me if I were Arsenal fan, to be honest. Other London clubs are winning. I think Arsenal fans agree with you, though, Ray. They want to start winning. I don't think there's any Arsenal fan out there worth his salt that isn't saying we have to start winning trophies. I haven't heard any Arsenal fan not say that, my friend. Can we stop diminishing the Europa League? No one's diminished it. No one has said it's a crap cup. No one has said it's a rubbish cup. Nobody said it doesn't matter. But let's be frank. If Liverpool this season were in the Europa League and they went on to win it, they wouldn't have celebrated it like Spurs. Equally, Man United didn't celebrate winning the FA Cup in the same way that Palace did this year. There is a difference and a contrast between these clubs. We have to get out of our mind that football clubs and all their singular season achievements are a monolith and we all react in the same way. There are some clubs that I've seen promoted from the Championship back to the Prem. They celebrate, but it's an element of we really should be there with the size of our club and the money we make. You see other clubs come up like a Luton, and that is the greatest moment in the history of their football club. So we have to be fit. Like getting promoted from the Championship into the Premier League is the same for every side in terms of the money they get, and they've got that status of being a Premier League team. But it means a lot more to a Luton coming up for the first time than it did Newcastle or a West Ham getting back to where they belonged after failing initially. There's a different feeling around those things, my friend. And I think we have to recognize that as football fans, personally. There's been multiple cars driving through people at Liverpool Parade. Fuck off. Really? Oh, anyone who's doing that's a scumbag, mate. That's a scumbag. Thank you for encouraging everybody to hit the like button. Let's move on. I want to move on to Manchester United. That section took a lot longer than I thought it would. We're going to try and be a bit quicker through these sections.
With Arsenal involved, it's turned into a half an hour section. That's all.
We can never get through these things. We have a plan, and listen, we have to listen. The audience dictate the show, so it's difficult. But so look, some breaking news actually since we've been live that Napoli are readying a bid of around £50 million for Alejandro Garnacho. At the same time, it is just the second report of the day has just said that Man United are pursuing a move for Brian Mbeumo, said to be around 50 million. So it does look like if United can get 40 to 50 million pound for Garnacho, the approach is going to be to spend that on Brian Mbeumo. How big an improvement, KJ, would that be for this Man United team?
I would drive Garnacho to Naples, not to the airport. I would drive him to Naples myself, ferry and everything, to make sure that he would get that money and get Brian Mbeumo. He is a massive improvement. The guy has scored 20 goals in the Premier League for Brentford. Alejandro Garnacho, he's not even getting near 20 goals in the Premier League. Over the last 2 seasons, I've said it before and I say again, in the last 2 seasons, Alejandro Garnacho in all comps should have had at least 20 to 25 goals. If you look at the chances that he had to score, he doesn't score enough goals. And yes, I know he's young, and I know there's talent there, and I know that but there could be a player in there. But for where the club is right now, he's not the kind of player you want. The mentality is not there. He's petulant. He's whiny. He's moaning. He only cares about himself. Doesn't play for the team. Doesn't play for the club. So, yes, I would sell him and get a player like Mbeumo, who's been at Brentford for years. He's been there since the Championship. He's been up with them. He's seen their star strikers leave. I think he's seen Ollie Watkins leave, Mupai leave. He's seen Tony leave. And he's stepped up to the plate. He's fought for that club. He's carried that to club on his back with Wissa. And he's got that mentality of, you know what, I'm going to fight for the team that I'm playing for and carry them through. That's what we need. We need that kind of quality in our team. So, yes, I would 100% trade him in for Garnacho. Yeah. And Garnacho, if he goes on to be a great player that he thinks he's going to be, then fair play to him. And I'm happy for him because he is still a United Academy graduate. I'll still always wish the best for him. But for right now, he isn't that. and he's not worth the effort right now.
I get what you're saying. Obviously, the mindset side of things with Garnacho, but I would like to have seen Garnacho in your team, or like with actual ballers next to him. Like, you know, like you're bringing in Cunha. If you brought in Mbeumo and that, right? I think like Højlund's the one that needs to go. I would have liked to see Garnacho with them. Like, do you know what I mean? Because like he's a kid and he's playing with players that are crap, like in attack.
Yeah, but
like,
the thing is, he's one of the reasons why we're crap. So this is what I'm saying.
But sometimes I feel like he's also very young, right? So he should have been the one.
But yeah, Højlund's not getting. You're saying ship him. What about Højlund with extra creatives?
But I think Garnacho's better than him.
But
that's the difference. That's the thing. I looked at Garnacho and I thought when he come on the pitch, even against Spurs, he was probably the best player on the pitch for Man United the whole game.
You know, he was decent. And listen, I do think there could be a player in there. If United was a different spot, I would say keep him. I would say make sure we develop him. But again, we're not in that spot. We're not in the spot to be raising kids again with petulance. If he was humble, if he was more like, you know, I need to improve my game, I'm gonna keep learning and keep listening to the manager. I may not agree with what he's saying, but I'm gonna try and get better. Then I would say keep him. But he's not doing that, is he?
What's the expression people use? If you're gonna say that to my face,
his talent doesn't match his attitude.
No, he doesn't.
I agree.
If he was come to be Man United's best player, he might be able to act out in this way. Maybe. But you can't have that kind of attitude and be the level of Garnacho and expect people to like you. It can't happen. And he is, and from everything I've seen, he is very petulant, and he's not a model professional, and he's not going to help United get back to where they should be. So for 50 mil, that's probably the best price you're going to get for him. Let's be honest. So
Giuseppe, would you take Garnacho in your team?
No, because I just think no, but there's a difference. I would say we're different to you right now. Like I'm at the point where we can't have no guys in the future now. Like we're bringing Garnacho, and it's not for right now. Like he ain't gonna be elevating our team right now. Maybe he would in a couple years, but we got people like Martinelli, stuff like that. We need to bring in ready-made ballers now.
But we're also in a position where we need.
If I was Chelsea, I'd bring in Garnacho.
But they're also in a position for they need ready-made ballers. They've already got
I just think that they're gonna go and spend a load of money.
Yeah. Anyway, like, before we go into Chelsea, because we're gonna
it's gonna get hijacked.
We need someone like Mbeumo, because we know this season has been awful. We know this season has been dreadful, and the biggest problem on the pitch has been scoring goals. Look at that game against Aston Villa. Before that whole incident with Bayern there, we should have scored like 3 or 4 goals. But because we didn't, that allowed Villa to have that opportunity where like now they're upset because that thing got blew up and it should have been 1-0 up and all these things. We've allowed that situation to happen because we haven't scored our goals that we need to score. So this is why we need someone like Mbeumo. We need Cunha, and we need
the only thing you're going to have though, is like as great as Mbeumo is, when it comes down to the African Cup of Nations and he's stepping up at a high level, who's going to step in and cover his goals?
Amadou Diallo.
Yeah, but he's also going to be.
I'm not worried. Do you know what? I'm not worried about that. Do you know why I don't worry about it? Right? Because I get it can be an issue, but at the end of the day, there's been so many talented players from the continent of Africa that have played for Chelsea and Liverpool and other clubs who have gone away for those tournaments, and their teams have been okay. That shouldn't be something that month period every handful of years,
every 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah, it's something that we shouldn't. We Man United are doing the right thing here. On Mbeumo, he should have been a player whose name was mentioned. Yeah, I'm not saying win it, but he should have been a player whose name was mentioned towards Player of the Year. 20 league goals from a mid-table team like Brentford is fantastic. The contrast and the difference in his goals is very good. Technical ability is high. Physicality is there. He's an excellent player. What I love about the approach from Man United, and look, Newcastle were deemed as the favourite still to get him with the bookmakers. This is a hard deal to land. And if we can, Newcastle can get him, I'd understand why. He'll do fantastic for them. I think he'll do fantastic for Manchester United. What I like about our approach is in the last 5 years, we've signed one Premier League player. And that wasn't one that anybody else wanted in Mason Mount. Chelsea. A lot of Chelsea fans didn't even want him. In the last decade, I think we've signed about 5 players for other Premier League teams. And you could argue Maguire was doing well at Leicester when we bought him. And AWB was a breakthrough player that people were excited about. But we haven't, especially in attacking positions. Man United were famed for this in the Fergie period of the Premier League, whether it be Andy Cole, whether it be a young Wayne Rooney. Obviously, we went and did it with Robin Van Persie. We took Berbatov. We got Luis Zaha. Zaha wasn't even one of our best strikers, but it added to our line. Man United have stopped doing this, and we have to get back to it. Where you go out, and it has to be someone who is attainable. So don't target Mo Salah. Don't try and target Haaland. That's never happening. But you've got to go out there and go, right, can we do one or two things? Can we weaken some of the middle of the table teams who often hurt us by taking one of their best players who also improves us? You take Cunha's, you take Brian and Mbeumo's as examples. They are phenomenal signings. Absolutely phenomenal business. And the two of them in together, you're looking at a total cost of about £110 million. And the Cunha deal, by the way, Sammy McBell broke the breakdown of it. It's split into 50, 25, and 25%. First 25% is being paid this year. In 2 years' time, we pay 50%. And at the end of his contract in like 2030, we pay the final balance has to be paid by. That's so with the fact the business in terms of how we're paying it is so much better than the work we've done before. Yes, we're also looking at Liam Delap. We'll get on to Chelsea in a minute. There's talk that Chelsea are going to hijack that. But if we do get Delap over the line, if we are able to still pull that off, and we're going up against Champions League teams, it shows people the size of the football club still. It tells me as a Man United fan that football players haven't lost faith in us. Therefore, maybe we shouldn't at this moment. But also, you're adding 3 attackers in there for a combined total of about 140 million, who between them this season scored 9 or 50 goals. And Man United need to add 30 to 40 goals to our team next season. If we add 30 to 40 goals to our team, I'll just say it now because I mean it. We'll be anywhere between 1 to 10 places higher in the league. We'll be anywhere in I'm not saying how far because see what we do with the defense. Do we buy a new goalkeeper? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But people are talking about United only having 110 million pound budget. Well, you sell Garnacho, and with that budget and that sale, you bring in Mbeumo, you bring in Delap, you bring in Cunha. Those 3 alone were a much better team next year. You've got Rashford to leave. Bruno might go. You've got Sancho. Is going to leave. Anthony is going to go. Cass probably
have a pre-season as well.
There's all these things, and that's when we'll bolster up the other areas. So, look, as a United fan, it's been an awful season, a horrible time. But I'm loving these links. I hope we get them. There's no guarantees we will, but I'm actually really liking the players we're linked to at the moment. I really, really am. I'm not looking at them and thinking, "Oh, will it work? Will it not?" There's a high level of confidence, but you got to remember we barely do this. I don't remember the last time we went and bought good quality goal scorers from other Premier League teams. I don't remember. I'm going to say Van Persie. It was the last time we did it.
It was.
And we haven't done it in imagine not doing that in 12 years, but yet you did it every 2 or 3 years for the best part of 20. For me, it's
maybe Alexis Sanchez, but that didn't really work.
No, actually, we bought Alexis Sanchez. We got
Lukaku,
and Lukaku. Now let me break Lukaku. That didn't work out for us. You got to hold that one. The Sanchez one is different. You know why? We only got him after he wanted to go sit in. We turned his head, and he literally said after 2 days of training, "I don't want to be here." So unless Cunha and Mbeumo arrive, and after 3 days they go, should have gone Arsenal, should have gone Newcastle. Unless that happens, I think we'll be okay. The Sanchez one's a little bit of an anomaly, but no, Falcao wasn't. We bought Falcao from Monaco, I think.
We bought him on loan, from Monaco.
Bought him on loan, so he didn't come from a Premier League team.
Chelsea then loaned him afterwards, which was weird. But hey,
why have someone do it? Pogba? No, Pogba was not a striker, and he
Pogba
was not bought for a Premier League team. Yeah, some people say some weird stuff in it. The other day I said something.
James was from Leeds when he was in the Championship. So
yeah, I said the other day as well to someone. Can you remember any other English midfielders who have British midfielders have won the league and been MVP of that league in the same year? People were saying weird things like Wayne Rooney. Somebody else said Steve McManaman did it, and I'm like, people don't even really know what they're saying these days. It's crazy. Alan Smith weren't a bad signing, to be fair. Cavani. But I'm really happy with it. I want to throw this question out, though, in terms of Man United to the rest of the panel. What one thing, David, do you think United have to do this summer to be a much more successful team next season? What's the one top priority you think they should have?
Oof. It's
Say the three letters, David.
The thing is, I disagree. I actually disagree with what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Buy Amorim players. Buy players that can suit the system that you're actually going to be playing. Because right now, your squad is a mismatch of 5 different managers and they all didn't work. However, in my brain, what I want to say is like, buy players that can play at Man United, can play in multiple systems, but also make sure they're suited to Amorim.
Yeah, but that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. That's why we. I think you should go. Yeah, you should go along that line. Yeah, if you look at Cunha and Mbeumo, they can play multiple systems, 3 at the back, 2, 4 at the back. It doesn't matter. We've been reported by the Athletic that that's the approach that we're going for. We're no longer trying to do specific players for specific managers. We're actually trying to do more versatile players, just good quality football players who are adaptable to whatever manager and whatever system we need to play. And the main thing is for Man United is we need a style of play that we want to play. And it's not about style of play. Oh, that means you have to stick to 3 at the back for the next 20 years. No. How do we want to play football? Do you want to play quick transition football? Do we want to play possession? Do we want to play highly defensive, play for set pieces? Figure that out and then buy players for that. And then each manager comes in should reflect that in their own way. Things might be different for each manager, but our players should be good enough to do that. There's 3 letters, David, that I'm going to say, and Terry will know these 3 letters that I'm going to say. This is what Man United need the most to fix in this flipping team in the summer. Oh, my mic dropped. Here we go. Ready? You ready, people? PNP, bruv. That's what we need. Pace and power. PNP is the most important thing because we just get bodied every single game. It's so embarrassing. We have guys who are technically really good, like Ericsson, but then you try and make them run, and they're going nowhere quick. You know what I'm saying? But there's in the game against Spurs, there's a chance for Mount to get onto the ball and drive with the ball. The ball is running past him. We can't keep up. You got Spurs players catching up to him. Our midfield gets run through. Our defense is struggling. We need more players who are strong on the ball, who are quick on the ball, can get across the field without blowing. Luke Shaw has been at this club for 10 years. And when he plays, he looks like he's ate a burger before the game, and he's blowing by 45 minutes. That needs to stop.
I think if you're talking one thing for Man United in the summer that really needs to happen, and not like buy all the players, I think is either buy a new goalkeeper, because I think that just improves your team defensively so much because they won't be scared. And I've seen it through Arsenal having a bad goalie in the goal and how much having a good one changes how good you are defensively. Or the other one, which people might take the wrong way, is sell Bruno Fernandes.
I think a lot of Man United fans are open to that if the money's right. That passage from the Athletic, this is what it actually says. I think it says here, finding players suitable for Amorim's requirements, like his formation requirements, has been a significant focus of conversation leading up to the summer window. The idea is that profile sorts can translate across systems rather than solely appropriate for a 3-4-2-1 formation. United's squad internally is viewed as lacking the necessary athleticism to compete in the Premier League, and fixing that issue is a main driver in deciding on its targets, as seen in the Patrick Dorgu transfer. Now, he needs to settle, he needs to do better on the ball, but you can see physically he's in that sort of space. So for me, hearing that, and by the way, that article's so important for one thing for rivals to understand. It wasn't a flower piece to make Man United sound good. There was loads of things in there that read bad, have translated horribly, and have led to criticism. So it's not a hit piece. It isn't something to make Man United look good, a PR piece. It's an honest assessment from someone who has a lot of access to the club. I hope that element there is very true. And I know it's very hard to say one thing United have got to do. For me, if I'm going to do something a little different from yourselves, it's buy a spine. Buying a spine this summer, I think, is key. You can't complete the squad, but I think you've got Joan Garcia that could be available for 20 million. I think it's not a massive gamble. Even if he doesn't turn out to be a world-class goalkeeper, I bet he's better than Onana. Mm-hmm. So if you can get him for 20 million quid as an example, add another ball-playing centre-back, someone like an Ignacio that's played for the manager, and then buy someone from the midfield. I would like a Wharton or a Belieber, again, Prem-proven, but I'm not adverse to someone like an Edison. If you were to add those 3 players, plus a variation of the attackers that we've mentioned, I think Man United go into next season a far stronger and a more athletic team. Not going to win the league. I'm going to go unbeaten. Not going to win anything crazy. But I think we'll be a team that you can see exponentially over the course of the season get better and better. So that would be my wish. Buy a spine this summer that actually gives us yesterday's game was an interesting one, as you say, because their goal should have stood. We wouldn't have recovered mentally from that. But it was almost like a microcosm of the last 3 or 4 months. The better team, the better chances, couldn't finish our dinner, and we nearly ended up losing that game. And now I even look at the Spurs game, taking nothing away from Spurs. Does the better striker get a better header on the ball than Højlund? Maybe as an example. We had more speed when trying to run in. If we had more speed in that attack, could we have penetrated? Could we have done something a little different? How many of our players are actually good at shooting from the edge of the box? Bruno's okay at times. But you look at Mbeumo, you look at Cunha, they're both specialists at hitting that ball from distance. So they can score on occasions those goals that the kids will say are low XG. My generation say half chances. We just need to add more of that to our team, because I think we could easily pick up an extra 8 to 12 wins across competitions next year with that in our side. But that's what I hope for after what is. We don't need to review Man United season. We've said it on so many shows. We know how shit it's been. No one's going to paper over those cracks. This here says, by the way, you think those ultras are going to take he's shit?
Talking about Garnacho by Napoli.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, but this is what's going to happen, though. And this is the problem. He'll leave and do well, and people will say, I knew United was the problem. Well, we are the problem. What is that saying? Some of its parts.
It's like
the sum of its parts is greater than its whole. I think that's a saying, or something like that. The problem is this: that can also work. If logically speaking, if it works in that direction, it can go the other way, where the whole can be the problem rather than the parts. So you take a player out of Man United who's a bit above his station, whose brother's tweeting nonsense. You know, Garnacho himself has liked so many things on socials and shared things on social that he shouldn't have done in the last 2 years. It's not even a Ruben thing. He joins Napoli. I don't think that Napoli dressing room lets him behave that way. I think he steps into that dressing room and they self-police it. And that for me is why, as much as I respect people that want Amorim gone, I think so many of them genuinely miss the element that this squad for too long has ruled the roost and got away with murder. And I want that to be addressed massively. So Garnacho will leave and he'll probably do okay. He'll probably do well because the environment's different. His behavior will be different. And he'll realize that he's made these mistakes himself.
The league's also different.
Exactly. Send that crap to Chelsea, not to the Scottish king. 20 goals, yes, please, at my club. I like Garnacho, but he wasted too many chances. He shoots all day and doesn't score. Very true. I think getting Cunha will be key to us scoring more. It'll be part of it. We need a lot more than him, but it will definitely be part of that. There's no doubt about it. How much is a spine going for on Timo now? We'll see. We'll see what happens, my bro. We'll see what happens. United need a goalkeeper plus a DM combo.
Bring me Aiden Hackney from Borough, man. Bring me that guy, Carrick Reborn. I'm telling you now.
Yeah, I like him, you know.
Even like that with what he said is right, because I don't think that Spurs, I don't think United are that desperate for like a centre back.
No,
I don't think you do. I think you get a better goalie and a better DM, and your defense will just be better.
No, David, you say that, yeah, but like if you
fully
look
fit as well.
If you look at like how we concede goals, it's not like a systematic issue, and it's not really sometimes not even the centre back's fault. It's just more about people just being switched on. So you can say we need a better centre back. We need better centre backs than Maguire. Yes, 100%. And stuff like that. But we've got like 6 or 7 of them. Like right now, we could goalkeeper will be fine.
Do you know who I forgot existed? Heaven. That's who I was like, because you've got Delap, you've got Yoro, you've got
Aiden Heaven.
The centre backs aren't that
Martinez.
You forgot about Martinez on the training ground. You haven't had that. You've had a game every 3 or 4 days, traveling like an actual pre-season. with Ruben will do Man United a lot of
You never
good.
know.
You
Might
need
do
to
a
trim down your
Napoli.
squad massively though.
Yeah,
you
but
don't need a huge squad.
that's also why it's more affordable. And people don't understand FFP. They don't understand football finance. Now that we can shrink the squad down to say 23 players from 30, that extra savings in salary means you can spend more on your squad. We can also lose more money now because the PSR of the Premier League is a higher threshold than Europe. Equally, people go, "Oh, you've lost £10 million from one of your sponsors because you're not in the Champions League." Yes, but we're saving £22 million in player salary decreases. So we actually end up £12 million better off by not being in the Champions League, because we also don't plan our budgets on being in the Champions League because that's additional money you might get. So this is the issue with a lot of the football finance side of things. It's often very poorly misrepresented. And remember, this is coming from the man that showed you all. And it's only now coming into fruition that net spend ain't real. Because every notice, all the media now use pure profit rather than net spend. I'm so happy about that. Honestly, I fought for that. Arsenal and Chelsea need better than Garnacho, Williams and Rodrygo level wingers or nothing. If Chelsea win on Wednesday, we've won 2 European trophies since Arsenal last won anything. Lol is what Jimmy says here. We are going to move on to Chelsea now. It's a natural segue into them. Jimmy says thoughts on the news that Chelsea are all in for Ekitike, and that is the interesting news today. Ekitike is on the list, David, as a player that you're looking at. Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail has just confirmed what Alex Crook from TalkSport has said, that you have now gone ahead of Manchester United in the race for Delap. What's your thoughts on that? Because they seem to be the two names you're most heavily linked to now, Ekitike and Delap. Do you like them? Are they going to improve Chelsea next year?
Delap for me is a signing that can't fail, because regardless of how he performs, he's always going to be at minimum 30 mil. So I don't actually mind us signing him, because he's just, either if Liam Delap becomes our top striker, he's scoring 20 goals a season, brilliant. We've signed him for 30 mil. Bargain. If he only scores 5 goals every season, he's English, he's a striker, he's played at a Big Six club, and he's proven he can score 12 goals in the Premier for a smaller team. Someone will buy him. People are willing to give 25 mil up for Broha. People will give up 30 mil for Liam Delap. So for me, it's just not a bad signing, and it's good depth to have, especially with all the games that are going on, and hopefully we can get him in even for the club for the Club World Cup. Because
I don't think he won't be going, because he's doing Euros, under 21 Euros.
Oh, well, whatever, cool. Hopefully.
David, do you think, I mean, you watch a lot of the Bundesliga, and Ekitike, I watched him in the Europa against us. I think he'd do really well for you lot. Like, you create a lot of chances, and he's a decent finisher.
For me, he is...
And he's only like 22.
He's probably the closest player to how they play to Ishak that you can probably get, that you can feasibly get. Because, obviously everyone would love to get Ishak, but no one's going to be able to afford him. So if you can't get Ishak, getting someone who could, I'm not saying he will, but he's got that potential where he could progress into that. And the only thing I worry about is signing. People say about signing players from Leipzig. Signing players from Frankfurt oftentimes does not go well. The only person I can think of recently is Marmoush. She's the only one that I can think of recently.
Who people who've signed from Frankfurt anyway?
Do you not remember Haller and Jovic?
Oh,
those two were meant to be the oldest ballers ever. And they just
didn't have a centre back as well who comes to the Premier League.
Well, was it Robin Koch? No, he's there now, isn't he? Robin Koch's there now.
He was at Leeds.
The thing is that Ekitike, however you say his name, to Chelsea, that I think is a bit. I feel like there's right now quite a few names that are probably should be a bit higher up there for Chelsea. That's available striker. I think he could be all right, but I think he's probably one of the biggest risks because of the money they're asking for. By the way, they're asking for 80+ million or something, like something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, I've seen 70, I've seen 80. My main thing with him is that the one thing I know he can do is play football. For me, no matter what, he's going to be an upgrade on Nicholas Jackson. Please, that's the absolute minimum. The absolute minimum.
Would Jackson get shifted to left wing then? Because
Jackson
if you can
hold bench and do whatever.
If you get 2 strikers in, and are you also buying a left winger as well?
I would hope so, because to me, Delap is is a Caleb Wiley. Delap is like an Andre Santos.
No, he's not.
He's a player that it's like he is an opportunity signing. If you sign him and he goes well, you've got a player in the squad that can perform.
I think it's too big of a jump. I think it's miles too big of a jump. Like your ownership want to go and win league titles, right? And you're sticking by Maresca. You need players like you're a Champions League team is like you've got heritage in Europe. You need to like I'm not saying you're in a similar boat to Arsenal, but you're shopping in the same supermarket of players. Like Delap, I think it's too big of a jump. It kind of like reminds me of the Maddison situation. Like it's all well and good scoring goals down at a team like that, like Maddison did Leicester, but it's a massive jump up when you got all those eyes on you and you're in the Champions League. Whereas Ekitike this year has got 34 goal contributions playing for Frankfurt.
Well, maybe I think they should go. I think Chelsea should be going for both, though. I mean, they're linked to both. I haven't read anything that says they're looking at them both, but I actually think they should be. I think that
I don't think it's an either or. It should be both.
Yeah, no,
it
should be strikers, and it's like
they get them both,
but they won't though. They won't though. They'll then look to move somebody on. I mean, and again, he hasn't been great.
Contract until fucking
but hang on. But that's all bollocks and irrelevance. I think people get so hung up on that. They're not being paid a huge amount of money per year, and at the end of the day, a lot of these players, when you actually go into the fine print. Forget what the papers say. If some of these guys get stuck in the reserves and aren't kicking balls, their pay drops. So much of what a player gets paid is connected to starting games, a certain amount of minutes, etc. Bonuses. Nicholas Jackson's not even on massive money, is he? Let's have a little look here. Chelsea salaries.
What do we like? What do you guys reckon Jackson goes for? Like,
but hang on. Just let me finish for a second because look. Let's look at what he's actually earning here. So Nicholas Jackson, according to this here, he's on between 80 and 100 grand, depending on the website you look at. It won't be that hard to find him a new club, especially if you loan him out. I think there's loads of clubs on the continent that play the slower, less physical leagues that will look at him and go, okay, his finishing has been a little bit off at times for Chelsea. Yes, he's got 8 years left on his contract, but at the same time, people can afford those wages. What normally stops a player leaving, like why we could never get rid of Phil Jones, is because he was 100+ grand a week and nobody would pay him that. I think there are lots of clubs in Europe that would pay Nico Jackson 100 grand a week. Yes, he'd be giving up, if he left now, he'd be giving up basically an eight-year deal that he could sit and hold on. But I just think it's, you know how a lot of fans said last year, oh, how is anyone going to get changed at Chelsea because they've got 50 players, there's no room in the changing room. I think that's just fan nonsense. The idea that all these players, if they're outed and the better players come in, are not going to leave is crazy. Because Chelsea have already sold 4 or 5 players. They've only sold in the last year. They've all had big, long contracts and they've been sold. They'll get rid of them. And as long as they're happy with most of these footballers want to play football. And for instance, if Villarreal, if Real Betis, if one of these sides in Spain come in and went, we'll pay you 100 grand a week to come and play for us. If Jackson, I think Jackson would leave. I don't think Chelsea would have any problem selling him. He's been a decent striker in the Prem. That if he goes back to Europe, especially if he goes to somewhere like a Germany, somewhere like in Italy, I think he could kill it there. Scott McTominay just won Player of the Year in Serie A. I think Nico Jackson could go there and be a star. So I think they could sell him. There's no issues with Chelsea being able to sell Jackson, in my opinion. If, for instance, he played 50 games, scored 1 goal, was on 350 grand a week, maybe. But 180k a week, 90k a week, someone will snap him up for that, Henry, I reckon.
And we only signed him for 30 mil. So the odds of us not getting some recouping
I don't think you sell him.
like that back is no. I don't think we sell him either. But
for
me, we can't go into next season with Nico Jackson being our guy. Mainly even for anything because he's just thick sometimes. Because as we saw, he can just punch people when we need him the most. Like I can't have that in my squad when it's because if that was us going for a league title and he goes and punches someone and then we haven't got him for Man City and Arsenal, then like our season's over and we're going to end up disappointed. I can't have my hopes and dreams lying on Nicholas Jackson.
Guys, why do you think so many people are? I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans annoyed. They're now leading United in the race. I've seen a lot of United fans celebrate. Oh, great. I don't want Liam Delap. Why do you think there's a number of fans at both Man United and Chelsea that are put off by Liam Delap?
I think
it's not a glamorous name.
Yeah, it's not a glamorous name. I do think it's because it's English as well. I think there's this weird, people say there's a English bias in terms of they get rated really highly, but I also think there's an English bias to the point where people disrespect them and underrate them just because they are English and they don't like that. I also think it's because he's not a glamorous player. He's not got mad silky skills. He is a lot of hard work, hustle and bustle. Relies a lot on speed and strength, and a lot of fans don't really like that in players. You know, that's why some players get tagged as a PMP merchant or this merchant. You know, so I just think Liam Delap is slept on. He's played for Ipswich. He scored 12 goals for a team that, let's be honest, if the whole team could score 12 goals as a club, they'll be happy. You know what I mean, in the Premier League. So he's done really well, and I think United fans and Chelsea fans are looking like really high about like their expectations of their striker, which is understandable. Like being the number 9 for Man United and Chelsea is not an easy task because we've seen it over the years. So there are big question marks over can he handle the pressure, will he score you enough goals, all of that. But as a player, I don't see why signing him would be bad for either team personally. Maybe more for Man United because we're not going to sign 2 strikers. Like if it's Delap, it's Delap. Like that is our number 9 for next season. But for Chelsea, like David said, you reckon you're signing 2. It looks like you're probably signing 2 strikers. So Delap and someone, it's not really. I don't think it's that bad, to be fair. Like I think it's just.
I think always the plan was if we can get Delap, then it will be Delap and somebody else. Delap was never. What I hope is that Delap is not the only person we sign as a striker.
Yeah, that's what it is. There is.
Then obviously, having questions about the sporting directors will come up unless Liam Delap is like the next Harry Kane and can score 30 goals.
But Giuseppe and Henry, is Liam Delap bad? Are we just not seeing it? Is he like a bad player?
He's not bad. He's scoring 10 goals at Ipswich, like
12.
12 goals at Ipswich is a very, very good, thing for Ipswich. I just think they need better. I don't think Liam Delap. I think Liam Delap should be looking at replacing Brian Mbeumo if he leaves Brentford. That's the next step. And going immediately to Chelsea is a massive jump. There's so much pressure on that football club that they've got aspiration to go and win league titles. I don't think Liam Delap's that player. And then just because we're talking about English talent,
but what is it about him? Why, other than the age and pressure, what is it that he doesn't have?
He's missed a hell of a lot of chances for starters. He's missed bundles of chances at Ipswich. You're going into a dressing room where Chelsea need a clinical forward. At their front line, Who have Chelsea got who's clinical?
That's true.
But how do his misses? Sorry, Cage. How do his misses compare to the other top striker? Are you talking big chances, conversion rate? Like break that down for me so I understand.
Well, look at his conversion rate. He's not. He's what is it? I've said it earlier. I think it was like 16% on Twitter. But look, I just don't think he's all that. I think because he's an English talent, there's a lot of hype around him because we're talking about the next Harry Kane, whatever. I think if this guy was German, no one would talk about him. Like Kevin Schade, for instance, at Brentford. Has anyone spoken about him? He's gone into a Brentford side and he's got 12 Premier League goals? What would...
Yeah, but if Schade was at Ipswich scoring 12 goals, we'd be talking about Schade. The situation...
Yeah, okay, what about Timo Pukki did it 3 or 4 times?
Yeah, and people are talking about Pukki, bro. What are we doing here?
What I'm saying is Chelsea need to go and get an elite number 9. They were talking about Victor Osimhen in August. Victor Osimhen and Liam Delap are what are we doing?
Do you know what the problem is? I think it's because of social media and certain people as well. I think what's kind of happened is he's slightly got overrated. Yeah, he's been slightly overrated. So now everyone's underrating him again. So you ain't got no one in the middle ground talking for what he is. Listen, for 30 million, it's definitely worth a try, right? He's young. He's got the ability. I'd say you watch him and you think this guy's got the ability to be a good striker. It's not guaranteed. I think certain people have started overrating him to the sense of he is the next Harry Kane. He is the next Wayne Rooney sort of thing. And I think that's what the problem is now. So certain fans are like, nah, he's overrated. Certain fans, he's underrated. I think he's just a decent player. I do think for him personally, I don't think either of these teams is probably the right move. I reckon he would have probably been better off going to like a Brighton or something, going to step up. And then,
or a Brentford. Someone like that.
You know the team that actually
Or
would
Fulham.
actually he suit him the most, and it's perfect for them. Is actually Nottingham Forest. Replace Chris Wood. Go and replace Chris Wood, and see if you can score the same amount of goals for them, because they've got European football. They've got a team and a style that will suit how
and
he
they've got
plays.
Chris Wood, and he can come in and play a lot of those Conference League
Even
games.
Villa.
Chelsea, well, not just,
Nah,
again, I think that's another step up because Villa, they're good. I personally think Villa will go all out for the Europa League, and there's nothing that Liam Delap's done in the Premier League this season to say you can go and step up in the biggest games.
Mate,
Like,
your team stepped up
for 30
in
million
that
quid.
competition. What are
The
you
price
talking
tag is
about?
not a lot.
What are you talking about? Your team stepped up in that competition, mate.
Yeah, I know, but like,
I just looked at Liam Delat's numbers here, statistics this season. So he's only had 1.9 shots per game compared to some of the strikers and attackers at other teams. So Haaland's had 3.1, Salah 2.8, Harry Kane 3.4, and Ekitike 3.1. And you can understand that because they're all much better teams, and Ipswich, they create more opportunities. Shooting accuracy. So Liam Delap's is 60%. 60% of his shots are on target. Haaland 65%. Mo Salah 58%, Harry Kane 60%, Ekitike 55%. Conversion rate, the best conversion rate is Harry Kane at 28%. Then you've got Mo Salah at 27%. Then you've got Haaland at 23%. Then Delap at 22% conversion rate. And then
22%.
Conversion rate.
I must have been reading some completely
and then you've got Hugo Ekitike at 17% conversion rate. So look, scoring 1 in 5 shots
is good.
It's not bad.
Can you pick up while we talk? Can you pick up how many shots he's taken compared to those guys?
Yeah, so I did per game. If you do the totality, so he's had 53 shots this season compared to Haaland's had 92, Salah's had 104. Harry Kane had 90 and Ekitike got 87. So if you just look at the conversion rate, if you were to say, let's just say who's in the middle of that there.
Harry Kane 2.29 shots a game.
Harry Kane, if you did it that way, so 12 goals divided by 53 shots, obviously 22%. If you times that by the same shots as Harry Kane, you're looking at around, if he got the same amount of chances, similar areas, if he had the same amount of shots, you're looking at about 20 league goals. If he was in a, theoretically, if he was in a better team.
Moneyball. You know
and I would say this is the Delap. Some of his goals were absolute screamers. Some of his goals were really good. They were from distance. I would also like to see what he could be more like as a poacher. What's he like scrapping around the 6-yard box? But how often were Ipswich creating those situations? So that's something I don't know about. I get where you're coming from, that teams might need someone who's more ready-made. He isn't a baby, though. He's turning 23 next season. People keep talking about him like he's 18. And I think that's also a little bit disingenuous. I think there's a real player in there. And the one thing, I think David's hit the nail on the head. It's not about not getting Liam Delap. It's about maybe him not being the only striker you sign. Because I've just got this horrible feeling that Liam Delap could be one of these players that one of us doesn't sign, or only one of us can get him. We all don't sign. He goes somewhere else, and then in a year and a half, 2 years' time, you go, oh, fucking hell, we should have bought him. I wonder how many teams wish, when he got loaned out to every fucker for like 3 years, 4 years, I wonder how many teams had opportunities to get Harry Kane off Spurs. Spurs now will say, no, we would never have let him go. But I wonder how many teams could have put in a cheeky 4, 5, 6, 7 million pound bid when he's out at Orient not scoring any goals, if they'd have seen something in him and got him away. I wonder how... You look at HIJACK as an example. I wonder how many teams now regret not buying HIJACK for 30 or 40 million pounds, 50 million pounds when there was a chance to, because they didn't want to take the punt. And that's the one thing with Delap. You don't want to not get him. And then he goes, as a United fan, he goes to Chelsea next year, scores 20 goals. Season after that, scores 23 goals. Season after that, scores 25 goals. You will sit there and kick yourself. And I think at 30 million, it is worth, it's not a gamble. It's worth that. It's like with Joan Garcia, like I mentioned. You buy him at 20 million euros. If he's crap, you could probably sell him at a profit because he's so cheap. I just don't. It's not like dropping 80 million like we did with Højlund. It doesn't work. We're going to have to loan him out now. There's rumors some Italian clubs are willing to pay around 50 million for him, which means we'd make our money back in terms of the training accounts, but we'll get the book value gone. But I just think at 30 million, I think most teams in England, even if your attack's good, should be taking a punt on this.
That's what
I
I mean.
really
It's-
I would. I would.
zero risk. It's like
I actually-
zero risk.
I would if I was Arsenal as well, 100%. If we were to go and sign Gyökeres, why not sign Delap as well to bolster the attack and have depth up there? Like, why wouldn't like? I do think that's the thing, right? It's because it's the £30 million thing, right? That's why it's so. As David said, you can he could stink out the gaff for 2 years, and you still get 30 million back from him from a team that's come up from. That's won the championship or a mid-table team in the Prem because they all have money now, right? So I think, yeah, I agree. I don't think there's much risk in it. It's different. Like as I said, if we were signing him as our main striker, no.
Yeah.
But like I can't understand why we wouldn't as like another option. Definitely if you-
Yeah. The only thing with Delap is that he wants to be in the England squad, and he won't sign for. I don't think he signs for a team where he knows he's going to be second choice. So we'll see where he goes. Because hey, listen, he might just join Everton. Like we don't know. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what's going through his head. So he might go and join Everton, but I don't know.
That's
know.
the
Delap-
issue Chelsea might have.
If you've got 12 goals and you walk into Chelsea saying, I'm the starting striker, you can't send anyone else, then you're stupid. Like you've got
That's what he's doing.
Yeah,
That's
but
what he's doing.
but
you've
David-
got bad advisors around you.
David,
Chelsea-
there is a difference that what you said and him signing for Chelsea. And you go, we're signing you, but we're also spending 70 mil on Ekitike. We're signing you both. That's a difference because you'll have to look at it and go, they're saying spending 70 million on this guy.
If
another
Anelka and Drogba can coexist, then I'm sure.
Different times, man.
I'm
Different
just
times.
And
saying,
different
They've
levels.
understood-
And different levels, bro.
Yeah,
Different
they've
levels of players, by
They've
the way.
understood the squad game back then.
Did United not have Teddy Sheringham and like Terry knows?
Yeah.
Terry had like 4 strikers and they were all great.
Different
Right,
game now, isn't it?
Andy Cole and Solskjaer. You had 4 strikers, and do you see what I mean?
Yeah, but that was when everyone was playing flipping 4-4-2. I mean, now
Yeah, like
we've got
different
we've got 2. We're gonna have 1 in the summer because Richarlison. We'll have Solanke, and that'd be it.
Maybe you guys should try and sign him.
It'd be a great signing for Spurs.
As a backup for Solanke, I'll take him, but not as a main man.
A backup to Solanke.
Yeah,
He's good.
No, come on.
Like,
Solanke's a big damn player, mate.
Come on. He's better than Solanke.
He's not, but
Goals.
how is he better than Solanke?
He scored more goals than in the Prem for a worse team.
Right, and Solanke stepped up in the Europa League and won us a trophy.
Oh.
Who scored the goal?
Did he?
He scored a home
Because
winner
I
against
watched that.
and
I
he scored
watched
the
that
winner at
guy.
Frankfurt.
No, hold on. I watched that guy through on goal against Man United and take the most.
Yeah, it's a bad
bubble
touch,
of
but
all
like
time.
plus Solanke's had
And
a
that could
season
have-
where
and that
at
could have
Bournemouth he got
ended worse for
21
him.
league goals. Like
I don't know.
he's a lot older. I expect him to be better. He's like 4 or 5 years older.
That's
And
the
I don't
third
think.
point.
Yeah.
He should be better than him. He should be.
But in
Yeah.
4 or 5 years' time, Delap might be on 30 a season.
Yeah, true. Guys, I just want to say as well, a few people have super chatted about this. I've just been sent some video footage of it.
Yeah.
I want to say here that a lot of people here talking about. Sorry, I didn't mean for that to play. Sorry, a lot of people talking about. There's been a very bad incident in Dow Street on the Liverpool parade where I've just seen the footage. It's horrendous of a person driving through a crowd, hitting a number of people, children there as well. So far, there hasn't been any reports of anybody passing away. The person has been detained. I will say the media are a disgrace on this. They've described it as a traffic collision. It isn't. This is a man putting his foot down and driving through groups of people. I assume it's a man. Women rarely do these things. So yeah, thoughts and prayers with every single person who's there today. And I'm hoping that nobody's seriously injured and everybody else gets home safe. But yeah, horrendous. And yeah, thoughts and prayers with every single person there.
Yeah, and if that turns out to be like a rival fan of Liverpool and they just hate, they're a disgrace, absolute disgrace to the football fans, man. Like
there is just, I mean, there is actually zero reason. There is zero reason whether they're a rival football fan, whether it's the flag somebody holds, the country they're from, the religion they follow, the political views they have. There is no need to be doing that on the streets during a football parade. Horrendous. And yeah, as I say, massive prayers go out to every single person that's there, and fingers crossed everybody is as safe as they can be after that situation. But I mean, Liverpool fans then rushed over to the car when it stopped, and every door and every window had been ripped off, ripped out, smashed. I mean, I say thankfully, the police kind of got there because I do think that the Liverpudlians would have, some of them would end up getting themselves in trouble, is what I'm trying to say here. So thankfully, the police, I think, stopped that from happening because mob law was about to take over. Well, and you understand the frustration, but people might regret that at some point. So thank God for that side of things. Moving on from talking about Chelsea, we're going to go to a few of these super chats first of all, and then we're going to come back and I'll ask quite another question. But Terry, your match day money is down though. Yes, match day money is down because there's no European football, and that will take a hit. But they anticipate £20 million of revenue from not having any home games in the Champions League. We're down. This is true, but revenue doesn't equate to profitability. You have to factor in all the money it costs to host a game, the staff, the food, the police, etc. The away games that you make no money, that you don't make any money from, as in match day revenue, where you're paying for staff and everybody to go out. It works out, we lose about £2 million through not hosting those home games and going to the away matches. So again, losing revenue doesn't equate to losing profitability. Profitability is essentially what enables you to be able to spend. You know, if you're losing 20 million of income, but 18 million is spent processing the money. I'll give you an example. When I worked, and people love it when I do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. When I worked at the bank, right? When I worked at the bank, Barclays had this, I can speak about it all now because my NDAs are finished. Barclays, for every pound that Barclays took over the counter of cash, it cost £1.20 to process it. So they were losing, and it worked out they were losing nearly 90p per pound that came in. It was ridiculous. So the bank decided in the end to whack all its prices up on anyone who was a cash user. Businesses were the main reason. So all these businesses pissed off to other banks, right? They all pissed off to like Metro Bank and all these new banks because they were offering free banking. Barclays loved it because Barclays was the clearing bank to those competitors. But suddenly we had none of the overheads having these businesses bank with us. So the bank lost thousands, maybe even millions of customers, but the bank became more profitable. The bank had more money because it wasn't having to spend so much money processing all that cash that was losing it money. So there are just times where it's not great. I'd rather be in Europe. I'm not saying I wouldn't be, but it isn't. Oh, there's £150 million black hole. Yeah, but if 150 million's coming in, but 80 million is going out, but you can sell a player for 100 million and it's pure profit, financially only, you're in a better position. You're in a better position. So it's just important to remember that, I think. T. Mitchell on a free. Tarek Mitchell on the free. Singo or Ignacio. Yeah, I like Ignacio. I don't know too much about Singo myself. United need players who are captains or who inspire to be. I think that's a really good point, to be fair. Merit on a free plus Yamins.
They're two goalkeepers.
Okay.
I'll take those two over buying there and flipping Onana, worst goalkeeping pairing in the league.
Chelsea spent 1.4 billion since Todd took over, and they celebrated fourth place. If that was Arsenal, the mainstream media would be all over them. The hate is real.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Not true.
It is true, mate. Don't worry about
think
it.
the standards are falling with Chelsea,
The
David?
part of us, like the mainstream media would be all over with Arsenal. True. However, very different situations. So that's what I'm going to do. We're not going to go on Chelsea.
I'll answer the question though.
No,
Do you think the standards have fallen at Chelsea? Because 10 years ago, you never celebrating qualifying for the Champions League.
They're different squads, mate.
Yeah.
If John Terry, Didier Drogba, Frank Lampard, and Ashley Cole are in that room, they're not celebrating because the expectations are different. It's not a drop in standards if you know that your squad, your team, your actual club has gone through so much in the past 5 years.
David,
So we've had to full reset and go back. It's celebrating a step in a journey. It's not the final step because it's not like if we had champagne out and we were spraying it about.
David,
it's water.
What part is not
water?
But what part of that was not true? If Arsenal celebrated top four that way, and I don't think it's bad that you guys did that, by the way. I don't think anyone should really care that much. But the point that he was making is right. If that was the Arsenal players the mainstream media, Talk Sport, and all of that, all you'd be seeing today and yesterday was how embarrassing Arsenal Football Club was. We beat teams and we celebrated on the pitch just a little bit after beating a team. Yeah, and we got called out for it, laughing, oh, they're overdoing it. It's like
David
they won
agree
the
with that.
league.
Again, what I will say is that first of all, when you first made it into the top 4, I don't think it was as bad. I don't think you got that much flack for celebrating, because I'm pretty sure you.
But we didn't even celebrate like that.
However, cool, whatever. However, if you celebrated getting top 4 now, people would go like, "Hang on, you guys have come second twice through. Getting top 4 is not an achievement. It's different because the squads have been in far different."
Yeah, I agree with that.
Also, one thing that I think you have to acknowledge is, because you are, whether you like it or not, either the most or the second most vocal fan base, you get the most backlash. The world is about balance. So if you're going to be the most vocal, and every time you do something, you're all going to go online and say, we're the best team, this, that, and the other, we made top 4. Of course, then the media are going to fight back. That's why United and Arsenal are oftentimes the most talked about clubs, because you are the 2 most vocal fan bases.
That's fair. That's fair to say. Yeah.
Great debate. Arsenal have had many attempts at the UEFA and Europa League from the start, or dropping down from the Champions League, I think, of being unfair. Over the course of 20 years, there's been times where they maybe should have won it. I'm talking about when the team's in its pomp, though. So it's a great challenge, and it gives me the chance to specify. So when Arsenal under Wenger were at their best, I'd say between, say, 97 through to around 2005, 2006 at that time, maybe even into the later noughties, 08, 09, they were still a very good team then, still challenging for titles and Champions League semi-finals. Had Arsenal in that period not had 13, 14, 15 years straight in the Champions League, when I'm not even sure where they often got out their group stages.
It never dropped in.
And they never dropped in. Had in that period, Arsenal in those 15 years had 8, 9 seasons, as other clubs that won the UEFA Cup did at that level, but Arsenal was still the same team that you saw in the Prem. They might have won a couple of those. They may have won a couple of those UEFA Cups. So this is where it becomes a conversation. Is being in the Champions League, and I'm talking in Arsenal's pomp here, not the last 5, 6 years, in their pomp under Wenger, is being in the Champions League every year and not winning it a better achievement in that period than only being in the Champions League, say, 3 times, 4 times and not winning it, but then being in the lesser competition 8 times and winning it 3 times? Which of the two is a better achievement? Because especially you had to come 5th in that period to get into that, which means you have to be the 5th place team in England to then compete at that competition. So it's one of those hard ones for me. When you actually start to break it down, I think it's and I'm not just talking about, Arsenal. Loads of teams kind of fit into that kind of category, if that makes sense.
Terry, also, because he's comparing it to the Tottenham winning it this time. And listen, we should have won it. There was times in it we should have won it. But like, you look at the times we were in it, and there's even difference in comparison, like teams that dropped in. I'm pretty sure Chelsea, when we played them in the final, you guys dropped in. We lost to Atletico Madrid. They ended up winning the competition. They dropped in. The year we went out to Olympiacos, we drew with them and went out on an away goal rule, which is now not a rule in the competition. So it's like, when you're comparing these things, I'm not saying we should. I'm not saying we should have won.
There is criticism. And since Arsenal have not been as good, there's been times where you maybe should have gone on to win it, and I'm not denying that. But I'm looking at like your peak period in your team, and I just feel that it's like the Champions League. I think Champions League wins from sort of late 90s, especially right through till now, you could argue are harder than teams that maybe won 3 or 4 in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Because what used to happen in that era is, yes, the champions of their respective nations went into it. Yes, they did. But let's not pretend that a team that comes 3rd this season, like City, they could be the best team in the world next year, but they're in the Champions League now. Back in the day, that team may improve in the summer and be the best team in the world, but they're not competing against you in the Champions League. So I think winning the Champions League now is more, you could argue, is more prestigious because it's harder. So many good teams are in it. So I just think there's got to be a conversation around it, and we can't compare today to yesteryear when all the rules have changed somewhat for me. I just think there needs to be a conversation, is all I'm saying. All Arsenal ever said in the Poch years was, what have you won, though? We win a trophy, and all of a sudden the 2nd place participation ribbon means more.
That's
Can I
very
say
true.
something? I'm going to ask this Tottenham fan that was probably one of them. when they were finishing in the Champions League spot and we won the FA Cup, I want to know if this guy said, "Oh yeah, but yeah, you ain't competing for the Champions League and that." When it's the other way round, I agree with what he's saying to an extent, right? But once again, the Tottenham thing is the reason that Tottenham are getting a bit of slack is because they're 17th in the league. If Tottenham was 6th or 7th in the league, you could have more of an argument with this stuff.
Do you think? Let me ask you, Dan, do you think there's a lot of comparisons between Poch's Spurs and Arteta's Arsenal?
Well,
Like take the FA Cup away.
Well,
in terms of the league,
I hear it, but in terms of the league, no, because I think that the level of the competing for the league right now is a lot better than when Poch was at Spurs. Yeah, I think the Man City and Liverpool of the last 3-4 years is better than the competition when you won it. Leicester won it like while he was there and stuff, right? And also I think like we're on the trajectory up. I don't know. I just
you know what? I'm not gonna lie. It's worse for you, man. Your time under Arteta not winning trophies or not winning the big stuff is worse than Poch not winning with Spurs, because you guys are actually you guys are good, and you guys
we did get to a Champions League final.
Yeah,
as well.
and you guys can sustain. And they got to what? League Cup final. They got to
Champions League final.
Yeah,
they got to
why did they get to the Champions League final? Yeah, Ajax had the Onana in goal. That's why they got to. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
The main thing
that is next level change.
Arsenal and Arteta.
No, I agree. I agree with not winning cup. I'm talking about the big ones though.
Yeah.
The thing is, my energy's been the same. There was a video, a bit of content I made. I don't know where it is now. I did it for UFF, and I was by Wembley Stadium. I remember doing the show there. Me and a few of the guys from AFTV, and I remember saying to them, I said, "Look, there has been a power shift." And I said, not in terms of the history, but in terms of like right now. I don't know how many years into Poch you were. This is before the Champions League final season, though. Maybe the one before. So well, they're finishing above you. They're the better team week in, week out. And I said, yes, you've picked up some FA Cups. I said, but they're the ones that look more likely to win the major trophies. I had the same energy then as I had now. I had the same energy now when we had a gal come on the show. We had a better season than United, won the FA Cup and came 8th. And I think we came 3rd or 2nd that year. And I said, look, the trophy's excellent. But I said, I'd still at this point, still rather be where we are. And I'm keeping the same energy now. I think what Spurs did is great and you should celebrate it. At the same time, it's more of where I think the conversations change. Forget the banter. You're always going to get that, right? You're always going to get it. Liverpool win leagues and people try and take it away from them and make it sound bad. It's the way fans operate. The one thing that I feel is different this sort of time round is when it comes to the situation with Tottenham winning this trophy, the way people try to play it down, the competition isn't as good as it used to be. There's nobody dropping down. That's just bullshit. You win what you win, and it's something to be celebrated, and it's something that you should, take very, very seriously. But at the same time, it's the statement that's only existed for the last 18 months in fan content, and now the media's picked up on it. Trophies are all that matter. I just reject that notion. I reject the notion that trophies are all that matter. Because at the end of the day, we'd all agree the FA Cup is bigger than the Conference League. Yes, David?
Sorry?
The FA Cup's bigger than the Conference League, yeah?
That's 100%.
Cool. No Chelsea fan worth their salt would swap everything Palace have and everything Chelsea have just to win the FA Cup this season. They wouldn't do it. No. Which means there's more to football than just trophies. I think it's these weird statements that are being made, which I don't think hold any real place in football discourse. It's just about shitting on each other rather than having honest conversations. And I think in that Poch era, Spurs were a better team than Arsenal. They just didn't win any trophies to kind of cement that. I think now Spurs have picked up a trophy, but Arsenal are a better team than them. I think by and large, they're a better team. I just think both statements hold truth. I really, really do. And everybody will generally change their tune when it's like yesterday. All season I've been told don't talk about VAR. Yesterday, every fucker wanted to talk about it, funnily enough. Oh, but it matters though. So someone missed out on Champions League because of it. That's because it's final day. When it's 10 games into the season, you all go, loads of games left. It doesn't matter when it happened. Do you know what I mean? It's people pick and choose when you've got to call out the PGMOL and when not to. Very few people are consistent with those things. Very few people. We haven't even gotten to Arsenal yet, and we're really, really running out of time on that. So we'll delve into it, and we'll come back to your super chats because we're running well over, but we'll come to your super chats. Don't worry. Arsenal, an interesting update today from Alonso. I want to get your opinion on this. So a lot of talk of Rodrygo to Arsenal, but what's been revealed today by Alonso is that he wants him. wants to keep him, thinks he's an integral part of the team. What are you saying, Giuseppe? Do you think that deal's over? Do you think that Alonso saying that is the end of it? Or do you still think there's a chance that Arsenal can prize him away from the Bernabeu?
No, I think we could still get him, because do you know why I feel like we could still get him is because, listen, he's like, Xabi Alonso's an intelligent man. Yeah, if you wanted to sell something that's got high value, you ain't gonna come out and go, yeah, I don't want him. You're gonna say he's important to us because you're gonna want the most money you can get for him. So you're gonna come out and say he might be telling the truth and he might not sell him. I'm not saying he's lying, but if you're him, you wouldn't come out and go, yeah, we want him out. He's not got a place in the squad. You'd come out and say he's got a place. Arsenal just need to probe, and the biggest thing we can do is try and turn the player's head, right? And it's hard to, you'd say, how can you turn a player's head from Real Madrid? But you could turn it. You're going to be playing on your preferred side. You're going to be one of the main guys here. You're not going to have to be under the shadow of all these other guys, etc. So that's the aim. We got to definitely go for it. It might, if Alonso wants him really badly and he thinks he's a key part of his team, I don't think we can get him because they just won't sell him. But I'm not sure if that is genuinely the actual truth. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
No, I think there's no way any manager comes in and says Rodrygo and is like, you know what, mate, I actually don't want you, bro. Like that's just not happening. Like it's all comes down to Rodrygo. Like you said, does he want to be competing for the spotlight with Mbappe, Vini, Jude, and all these guys, all the superstars at Real Madrid? Or does he maybe want to make the Ozil move or the Alexis Sanchez move where you leave a big club and a super team and you go and prove yourself to be the best player at Arsenal? Like it is an angle that you guys can have to try and exploit. But I think that's the only angle that you can exploit. You know, like I think Alonso will want him. Real Madrid will want to keep him, and it won't be easy. But if you do it, hey, respect to Arteta and Arsenal.
And the thing is, do you know what? Like, and if we do it, I think that what will help us do it as well is the fact that we played them and beat them. Like, I know it's not to say like that he really cares because he knows Madrid will go on to win countless Champions Leagues, but it's the fact that he got to see firsthand what he'd be going into and be like, he could see himself in that team and be even better than Martinelli, for example. He knows Martinelli, they played together country. He knows he wouldn't really have competition on that left-hand side with him, probably. So that's the way we'd try and have to spin it with him and try and get him. But it'll be tough. It'll be one of the toughest, and I don't see that being something that happens like super quick. But obviously there's that all the talk that they want Nico Williams. Now, if that's true and they want Nico Williams, then they're definitely
they're just going out the frying pan and into the bigger fire. Nico Williams, Mbappe and Vini Jr. all fighting for left wing. Oh man, that would be a disgraceful.
That's the thing as well. Rodrygo's played out of position for 3 years in Real Madrid.
Yeah,
he's a left winger. The thing, like Arsenal, I know there's a lot of talk about Trossard signing a new deal. Someone's got to, I think someone definitely in that front line has got to go if you want to pay his wages, because he wants what, 300,000 euros a week. You already pay Jesus a lot. I don't know what Havertz is on. He's on a lot though, isn't he? The thing is, you need a maverick signing. He is that maverick signing. He walks in with the heritage of winning Champions Leagues, of winning league titles. He walks in as the most successful person in that dressing room. That's what takes you up the next level. But again, if you also need a number 9, you're looking at 200 million on 2 players.
No,
when you include all the add-ons.
Why?
Because I don't think that Real Madrid's selling for less than 90 mil.
Yeah,
and then you're also looking at Gyökeres is he's really scored changes on a daily basis.
It's 60 million that you will get him for.
Yeah, it won't be too.
So you're looking at 150 for 2.
Oh,
arguably world class. 150. Even if it's 200, if you're buying 2 world class attackers,
200. Who do you think leaves though? Because I think someone has to leave.
I don't think anyone leaves.
Wait, so Jesus, Havertz.
The thing is, Jesus will leave. The thing is, Jesus will leave. He can't leave. He can't leave. I don't know if he'll leave in the summer. We're kind of
Jesus can't leave anyway.
He's got done his ACL. He's done his ACL. He ain't back till the start, like into next season. So I
Do you
don't
think
think we'll
Martinelli
get.
could leave?
He's Jesus will be a January. We'll sell him in January. You got to remember, we got rid of Eddie Nketiah, didn't replace him. We got rid of Reece Nelson. He's going to leave. We did. Tierney's going to be off the books. Like a lot of players are off the books, even in attack. The Eddie Nketiah, Nelson, all these guys.
What's your again? I know there's multiple things, but what is on the top of your? You look at this season for Arsenal. We know what the problems have been. A lot of them have been mentioned in the last 10 minutes on here around the attack. What's your one big wish? If there's one thing that you have to guarantee is implemented, bought, purchased, whatever it may be this summer, what is it for you, Giuseppe?
Yeah, world-class attackers. Simple as that. World-class attackers. It's what the teams. It's literally the miss. If people can't see, that's the missing piece to this puzzle. Is world-class attackers. Then I don't know what.
So you need a left winger and a striker. Who's the two you'd sign?
Rodrygo and Gyökeres.
I see today, like Julian Alvarez. Loads of people in the chat have said him.
Nah.
Mars or whatever they're called, talking about him. What happens if you go and sign Sesko? You think that's good enough to get you over the line?
Here's the thing, right? Sesko, I'm really torn with Sesko because I see things from him and I'm like, this guy has the capability of potentially being really, really, really good. But it's that sort of. I think if you signed Rodrygo and Sesko, they'll get away with it. If you sign Sesko and then an all right winger, it's not going to run. I don't know how I feel about the Sesko one. But then again, what I will say, and the reason I will hold judgment and I won't go too ham at the start is I was saying the exact same things about HIJACK when we were linked with him. Oh, this money for him. I looked at his stats in La Liga for Real Sociedad. They weren't great. They were like 12 goals. I was, and then I said, I wouldn't sign him. And then he went Newcastle and look what he's become. So like that egg can be put on my face again with Sesko. So I'm really torn with the Sesko. I want Gyökeres. That's who I want. I've wanted
Arsenal,
him for the longest
unfortunately for Arsenal and Arteta, they're not in a situation where they can wait on Sesko to develop. It next season for them is do or die. No, and that's why to me signing Rodrygo makes a bit more sense, because if you remember a couple of seasons ago when Arsenal signed Jesus and Zinchenko, and Arsenal fans walking around saying,
Premier League winning experience.
Added Premier League winning experience. That's not what Premier League winning. Adding Rodrygo is adding serious experience to your squad.
Here's the thing, right?
But that is what that is.
If you sign Rodrygo and Sesko, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Sesko gets 20 plus goals next season for Arsenal in the league. I actually don't think that's out of this realm. Like the way he, like little things with him, like the way he leaps and gets on these headers and the way we whip balls in all the time in our corners and the threats from them sort of opportunities at Arsenal. I think there's a possibility he does do that, but I think that's more of a risk than Gyökeres by far, because Gyökeres has done it. We've witnessed him do it for multiple seasons. I think I can't understand why Gyökeres is not a no-brainer for Arsenal. I really don't.
On it, it's just I know he scores a lot, but he's just. It's the type of goal, and I know it sounds stupid. Like, yeah, okay, he's gonna get chances, and if he can score his chances, like, fine, he'll be absolutely fine. But for me, when I watch his film, I'm just there like the type of goals he scores, he's not getting this many opportunities to do this in the Prem for Arsenal.
But this is the Haaland conundrum, because we said the same about Haaland from Dortmund.
No.
Yes.
Well, at least I didn't. At least,
yeah, but many people did.
David, who would you sign if you were Arsenal as a striker?
If my job's on the line, and I need to sign a striker to help Arsenal win the league, tomorrow I'm signing Gyökeres, even though I think Sesko will actually be the better striker, because Sesko will probably need a year or two to actually develop into what he's going to be. Gyökeres is ready. He is what he is now, and if you create the right chances for him, he will score 20-25 goals.
If Arsenal's serious, I'm gonna say it's now. Osimhen's the guy, bro. I'm sorry. He gets ignored because the whole wages thing and whatever's going on with him. But the guy, he's got it all, man. He can score headers, left foot, right foot, power outside the box, in the box. He's got elite movement. He's got speed. He's got tenacity. Like, Gyökeres is great. Like, listen, Gyökeres is flipping fire, right? He's good. But I don't know. There's something about Osimhen that I can see him dragging Arsenal up there. Like when things are going wrong, he'll get a ball that's halfway in the air, juggle it at his feet, and score a volley. Like that's the kind of guy he is.
The thing for me is 96 goals in 100 appearances.
No, it's listen,
not a fluke. It's just not a. It's just, and this is the thing. It's just not a fluke. Like,
no,
and
I don't think
like even when I witness like people go, "Oh, with Arsenal and that." Do you know how many times I watch Bukayo Saka put the ball across the 6-yard box and there's no one there to just tap it in? This guy will be there every time, tapping it in the back of the net. 100%. There's no two ways about it.
The thing is, the type of goals, look, he doesn't do things that Messi did. But if you actually watch like Messi and Ronaldo in those seasons where they were getting 60, 70, 80, 90 goals, the amount of them that were just, little tap in, little back post, little this, little that, penalty, screamer. Penalty, screamer, tap in, screamer. It's not as though every goal, like 70 of them were at weldies. Do you know what I'm saying? Yamal's a great example of this. Yamal doesn't score a load of goals, but when he does score goals, they're out of this world. Now, Gyökeres has scored a few bangers, but the majority of his goals are just like poacher-esque. These strikers, though, that were poachers, and I think that's why players like him are doing so well, is these guys were 10 a penny when I was younger. There was foxes in the boxes in every bloody squad. And defenders are more used to it. Systems are more used to it. They just know where to be, where to pick up space. They have almost like a natural, it's just the way they think. They just find themselves in the right places. So I think it'd be excellent. I don't think, though, I don't think you're debating or deliberating massively internally. I think the reason why you're talking to so many players is because this is going to be one of the biggest transfer windows the world's ever seen. There's so many clubs buying players, Saudi, other European teams. You have to have multiple options. I don't think you can. Liverpool always do this. We've got our main targets. And in fairness, they've gone and got some of their main targets very early. So fair play to them. But I don't think any team can go, we've got one player we're going to sign to be a striker for us this summer. And if we don't get him, we'll wait. I don't think you can afford to do that. You need to look to improve regardless. So Gyökeres, I don't think he will. But he could pick Man United tomorrow. We could make a massive offer. And he says, do you know what? I'm taking it. Sorry, Arsenal. If you've done no work on Ekitike, no work on Sesko, there is a report that I haven't read it yet from Spain that you're looking at Julian Alvarez. You'll get some gooners that will go, we're linked to all these players, just the media lying on our name. No, I don't think it's that at all. I think you are genuinely out there making sure that you have your number one targets are being worked on, but you've got backup options because multiple things can happen. Like internationals start in a week or so. Then you've got the World Club Cup. Players could get injured. Players could have their heads turned. Players might decide, actually, I'm going to stay. I mean, if the VAR goes in Villa's favour yesterday, Newcastle might not be in the Champions League. Suddenly, teams might go, right, we're going to really try and prize Isak away. Isak's now a striker that's seemingly off the market, right? Because he stayed. So I don't think it's weird for you to be linked to so many players. I think it's just important to read the reports and maybe read between the lines a little bit. But I do agree, you guys need goals. I think if you look at what Liverpool have done already, it looks crazy. I know they've not actually, no one's holding a shirt yet, but those deals look like they're going to happen. It does appear the first bid may have been rejected of 110 million in totality, but we will see. But yeah, you guys need goals. You need goals because Liverpool mean business. They mean business.
Arsenal need to learn how to win in imperfect conditions because every single team that wins a trophy can win with this player missing, with these injuries, with this decision, whatever. Next year, I don't think they're going to have any. There can be no more excuses of, oh, we got a red card in this game, therefore that's why we lost and that's why we lost the league. You can't have that anymore because next season is, for me, it is do or die. It just has to be because if Palace can win a trophy, if Newcastle can win a trophy, if Spurs can win a trophy, Arsenal have to be able to win a trophy.
Yeah, I agree. I do think the thing is, I think this season we've kind of proven that we can do what you said. Like we can win in it because we've had a lot of games this season not having the thing is we haven't had a striker. Like this is the thing, man. It's as simple as that, man. Like look at our leading goal scorer this season and the amount of goals they have. Like it's mad. Like we haven't got a player on. Like
I read somewhere it's like the first time in nearly 100 years you guys haven't had a player score over double figures in a league in the league campaign.
Yeah.
Like even I know Saka was out injured, but
and we're second.
Amad Diallo scored more goals this season than Saka.
I know, and we're second. And we're second in the league. Like, this is what I was saying. This is what I mean. We're second. Like, when you actually look at it, I'm not trying to say big up second, but we're second in the league, and we do not have a player on our team that has scored more than 10 goals, 10 or more goals.
Crazy, man. Let's do so many super chats here. First one says Poch spent 2 years, whole seasons away at Wembley and didn't spend anything for nearly 2 years. Yeah, it's still your home ground. You still had more. I mean, in fact, that should have helped you. You had even more home fans there than you could have in this ground. Like, that's not an excuse, but I get he didn't spend as much money. That is fair. Poch spent only a fraction of what Arteta spent. Poch is clear. That's fair if you think Poch is better. Terry, being the better team is irrelevant and means nothing without trophies to back it up. To what end?
Let them have that, Terry.
Yeah, no. I mean, to what ends? To what ends though? Did you say that? You know, I think in the longer term, if you just keep winning trophies and another team doesn't, you wouldn't know what. If every single season now, Palace keep winning trophy, and United don't, there will come a time where we'll go, oh, they're definitely better than Man United. They keep winning trophies. You know, in a singular season, you can't say that Palace are better than Arsenal just because they won a trophy. I think, again, it's these blanket statements, they work when you can. This season, Palace have been better than Man United because their league position and they won a trophy. Are they a better team? I know they beat City in the final, but do we really think they're better than City? Do we really think they're better than Arsenal? Do we really think they're better than Chelsea? Chelsea might still win a trophy. I don't think they are. But they won a trophy and they had that success and they deserve all the praise they're getting. I just think it's not as. I think we like to play reductionist a lot in football, and I'm not really a fan of it anymore. If it was up to me, I would throw the kitchen sink to try and sign Osimhen. If not, then maybe Gyökeres. Sesko is not the striker that wins us the league next season. Osimhen better than Gyökeres, is what the Gooner says here. Fact check: Arsenal team in the Europa League final in 99-2000. Seaman, Dixon, Vieira, Adams, etc. Petit dropped to the Europa and lost the final to Galatasaray. Did that happen in 99-2000? Did it? I didn't know. Is that the season did they? I didn't know they were in the final that year. To be fair enough. But yeah, as I say, would Arsenal, if they were in that? I mean, they got. But this is the thing: they got to the final that year. They didn't get. They've only been to one Champions League final. So again, let's base it on the logic. Had that quality of Arsenal team for 15 years spent the majority of time in the UEFA Cup, it's likely they'd have got to more finals and maybe won it. So would that have been better? Again, the question is, would that have been better than being in the better competition and trying to win that every year? Now, some might go, no, I'd rather be in the smaller one and won some trophies. That's your opinion. Some will say, no, I'd rather always be in the bigger competition trying to win it. That's the question. I didn't realize that happened. I'm not an Arsenal fan. But again, my point still remains. If they spent the better part of 15 years in the lesser competition and won it once, twice, 3 times, is that better than being in the big one and not dropping down to it, or not being in it? I'd love to. You're not right or wrong. I'm not right or wrong. I want your opinions on it. Basically, say what you think. Sorry, I've already done this one here. Question to the panel. Since the UEFA Champions League teams no longer go into the Europa League round of 32, has the Europa League become easier for Premier League teams to win that play in it?
No, it's the same, because if you look at the history of the Europa League, not many Champions League teams even make it to the final anyway. You know what I mean? Champions League teams.
Most recent one was Atletico, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, Villarreal.
No, Villarreal, they were in.
They won it 3 times in a row, which means 2 times.
That's Sevilla.
No, Sevilla. That's Sevilla. And one of the
Sevilla,
times,
sorry.
yes, one of the times was them dropping down. Fair enough. But I just don't buy into this notion of that the competition's gotten worse and it's made it easier for the PL teams. The competition's the same. Like,
someone made an argument to me though with that, like, and I'm not saying it should be the rule going forward, but like obviously Spurs have got it, fair enough. But going forward is like the thing of like the Champions League teams dropped in, therefore it made sense that winning that competition got you Champions League, because you still have to beat Champions League level teams to win that competition, right? Because they drop in.
Yeah. But
now that's eliminated. Should you still get the Champions League spot for winning it?
No, what I'll say to that is, why if you don't face one? What? Because there are teams that joined that format never faced a Champions League team.
Man United, when we won it in 2017, we didn't play a drop down side. Also, to argue that Spurs knocked out a team that's qualified for the Champions League via a league position this year. So that is a Champions League quality. Frankfurt are a Champions League quality team. Bilbao are Champions League quality. That's why I get the point, but I think we're taking too much away from it. It is the competition. You know, you're going up again. We've got to remember, for 10 years, everybody argued it isn't fair that the failures from the Champions League get a second chance of European glory. Now we're saying, we need that because we need to make it harder for the teams that win it. But no, I think it's fine as it is. I really do think it's fine as it is. I hate the celebration police. Teams celebrating is for the fans. A thank you for their support. Every club should be allowed to celebrate every win. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. But when I see Chelsea, I get why Chelsea were celebrating yesterday. It's been a hard season. They want to get back to the top. Part of the way you get back to the top is by qualifying for the Champions League. Again, I want to win the Champions League. Why are you not happy when you qualify for it then? It's just such a strange notion to not be happy to qualify for the comp you want to win. It's broken logic. I don't agree with David fully. When Arsenal used to win the FA Cups under Wenger, we never heard people say better season than someone who finished second or third. No, we finished second. Now we finished second. Suddenly the narrative changed. It's changing. It's big on David.
First of all, I said that Arsenal have had a better season. Second of all, no one's finished 17th and won the Europa League. If Spurs were 7th and won the Europa League, then I'd be willing to hear the argument. But you can't finish.
Nobody said. No one said. Wigan had a better. This is how I know it's become. It's a modern day. This is what I mean. It's become. Everyone just wants to banter everybody, no matter how much of a hypocrite they look for what they used to say a week ago or a month ago. No one thought that Wigan had a better season than whoever didn't win a trophy the year they won the FA Cup and got relegated. It was not spoken about by any normal person in a normal setting. It's social media bollocks. The Osimhen wages is a weak argument because if Chelsea or Arsenal came along, we'd manage to negotiate reasonable wages. There is something for us fans aren't seeing about Osimhen that's putting big clubs off. It's a fair point. Leao and Rodrygo are drawn. Sorry, Leao over Rodrygo. We drew away too much. We don't need a good two-way player. Rather give up defensive solidity of a player for a higher ceiling in attack. It's from Shane. Static here says the media have been all over Chelsea this season. Very true, they have. David doesn't realize that Chelsea's position is worse considering their recent success.
Yeah, but our recent success isn't under this regime, and it hasn't happened since the massive reset at the club. So I don't know what more you want me to say.
Yeah, sure. Ollie told United to buy Haaland when he was 16. Yes, we did, and we didn't. Yeah, he did. What are your thoughts on Ten Hag going to Leverkusen?
Hope he does well, and I hope you buy Anthony and Onana.
I actually think he will do well.
Yeah, he will. As long as they make him play the football, as long as the squad they've got is suitable to the way he coaches, and they make him implement and train in the way in which he had his Ajax team operating, by and large, and not going, right, I'm going to come in and fucking adapt and change it up and yield to you fuckers. He can't do that, as he'll foul. You need to do it. You need to be who you are. Your Prem team of the season in a 4-3-3. Oh, we'll do this quickly because we are running out of time.
Matt Sells.
Sells in goal.
Kukurea at left back.
No.
Did you say left back?
Kukurea.
Who's
No, Kirkes. Kirkes at left back.
I'll say Kirk as a left back. I think it should be Van Dijk and
Milinkovic from Forest.
People are saying
no, they came 7th in the end. I'm going Van Dijk and Gabriel because Arsenal's defense with Gabriel and it was fantastic.
I'm going Van Dijk and Huijsen.
Yeah, great shout.
Good shout.
Right back. Who we go right back? I'm going to go Trent because he got booed. I'm going to give it to Trent. Premier League winning right back.
I had one before for my right. Ola Aino is a shout.
No, everyone's putting Munoz in. I don't really like.
I'd say Livramento from Newcastle.
I wouldn't personally, but I've seen it a lot. I've seen a lot of Munoz's hanging about in the team of the season.
No, I think Livramento's a great shout. I think he's had an excellent season.
Yeah, Livramento's.
And he's played both sides as well.
Holding midfield, we going with Gravenberch or Caicedo?
Caicedo.
Definitely.
I don't
No, I'm
know.
joking. No, grab him, Birch. Grab him, Birch. Grab him, Birch. Grab him. Birch.
2-8s.
McAllister.
You
Bruno
know,
Fernandes.
I'm actually having Caicedo in there. You know,
Just putting
I'm
Caicedo in the
Gravenberch,
8.
McAllister, and Caicedo as the midfield.
And
McAllister
Bruno.
be in there.
yeah. Bruno Fernandes finished 16th, man. Oh, 14th, 15th. Wait, we finished somewhere down the bottom.
Somewhere
Front three's got to be what?
Front three's hard.
Salah.
Salah, Isak, Brian, and Mbeumo.
No, Mbeumo plays the same position as Salah, so he can't be in.
Yeah, but he's also
I'm not going to do what the media pundits do and they bottle it and move someone out of position. They play the same side. Salah.
No, I don't know. I agree with that. No, if there's not been a good left winger in the season, they shouldn't get plaudits, man. If Mbeumo's been better, which
if there's not a left winger, but let's think about that for a minute.
Who?
Cody
Gakpo? No, not team of the year level.
Who's
the striker? Who's the striker then? Who's the striker you're going with? Chris Wood. Isak. Left hand. Do you know what? Let's put Mbeumo on the left hand. Let's do that. I agree with you. I can't think of a left-handed side attack off the top of my head.
Oh, you know who I forgot about as well? I forgot about Morgan Rogers. I think he deserves a shout.
You know what? I put him in. Do you know what? Right back I forgot about as well. Timber, actually. Timber's been really good.
Yeah,
Timber's been really, really good. He's been really, really good. Using David's logic, Chelsea under this regime aren't the biggest club in London.
No,
that's not how it works. Because it's so stupid. Because by that logic, we're getting rid of history. And I'm saying that history works in Arsenal's favour, not Chelsea's favour. Well, so we can do that.
It's like Man United don't lose all of our history because the current owners are shit. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's like I did Sam earlier because he keeps saying this. I've never seen a big one of the traditional big six teams ever be this bad. And it's like, I know what you're doing, but I'm going to get you for this. I was like, there has been one of us that's been this bad before. Because when Liverpool got relegated way back when, they spent 8 years in the second division. That's a much worse form than us finishing 15th. And he's like, yeah, but that's the old era. I'm like, okay, so old and modern era. If we're just doing modern era, then you can't be celebrating 20 league titles, can you? Because, and this is the problem with this is like, it's a bit of fun between me and Hassam. But this is the problem when we start trying to rewrite history to score points now. Most of the time, people think about the UEFA stuff. I'm defending Arsenal. I'm not. I'm defending Fergie. But you just don't have the brain capacity to see the wood between the trees. You can't see it. Sorry, the trees in the anyway. The forest. Like, what is it saying? Can't see the wood. Wood for the trees. You can't see it. You can't see it. I'm talking about a competition that became harder to win. You know, and it's everybody wanted to be in it. So yes. If Fergie or Wenger or anybody would have spent 10 years in a lesser competition, they might have won more European trophies. I'd have a better heritage. Well, you don't, do you? You don't have a better heritage winning the championship 5 times in 5 years and not winning the Prem if you stayed in the Premier League the whole time. You know, we've got to be really mindful of this stuff, rewriting history. It's kind of crazy. Look, I want to thank a lot of people, though, everyone who's tuned in, the super chatters. I didn't think we'd be this long. We had a smaller panel. I thought it would be about an hour and a half, but it's been a really good discussion on how to fix our clubs. Biggest things we need, of course, big transfer talk happening as well. We're back tomorrow, myself and Mark Goldbridge live 11 a.m. tomorrow morning with hot takes. We're looking forward to that. You can go and listen to the most recent episode by scanning that QR code right now on Spotify. This is redirecting you to Hassam's channel, so go and check that out, please, people. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you guys again soon. Peace.